the scientific demon of an anime Omniverse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1: A Corner of the Academy City. Academy City, a huge collection of educational institutions consisting of 23 school districts, provides special educational courses to discover superpowers, and mainly recruits students from outside. In addition to educational institutions, there are also research facilities for students, production and commercial facilities, international exhibition halls, international airports, and other living facilities needed for living in the city. In the eyes of outsiders, this is the pinnacle of world science and technology, and the students here are also the pillars of mankind who have received careful education. And light and darkness have always been interdependent. The more dazzling the light on the outside, the deeper the darkness on the back. Talent Workshop, a research institution located in the second school district of Academy City, is mainly aimed at cultivating geniuses and great people. Of course, this is on the surface, or in the past. Now, they have more ideas. She's okay. She will be back soon. In a white corridor, the girl looked at the gradually receding bed and asked the man beside her in a trembling voice. The girl had long honey-colored hair and wore simple clothes. She had a pretty face and skin as smooth and tender as white jade. She was about 8 or 9 years old. What caught her attention was her eyes that were different from those of ordinary people. They were like the incredible starry eyes in a girl's cartoon. Those eyes not only did not affect the girl's appearance, but on the contrary, the strange feeling made her look even more dreamy. On the bed was her only friend so far. She looked at the bed that was gradually moving away, and a feeling that she had never had before, or had long forgotten, appeared in her heart. Fear. She looked at the bed, and inexplicably, she felt that the bed's moving away seemed to be equal to the distance between her and her friend, moving away continuously until it disappeared. Therefore, she asked the person next to her, who was wearing a capsule-like helmet, in an uncharacteristic way. "No, I'm saying goodbye to Dolly." The man uttered cruel words. To him, whether it was the girl next to him or Dolly lying on the bed, they were just experimental subjects and tools. He simply would not, nor did he feel the need to care about the tool's emotions. The moment she heard those ruthless words, the girl's heart stopped instantly, her eyes shrank sharply, and the sadness that suddenly surged from the depths of her heart even suppressed her breathing. Her body has exceeded its limit a long time ago. Even with the scientific strength of the Academy City, it is impossible to extend her life. Dolly, she knows it herself, the cruel words continued, and the man was just stating the facts, a fact that was just a word to him. And for the girl, what does this mean? Academy City, the 15th school district. The car of the Talent Workshop stopped at the door of a research institute with a Chinese signboard, which was called 9 Chapters of Fire. "Excuse me, everyone." The person who greeted the car was a boy who looked only about 13 or 14 years old. He had the standard black hair and black eyes of the Han people, and his appearance was handsome. The degree of handsomeness made any language and words to describe him pale and powerless, and his temperament was gloomy and wise that did not belong to this age. He had a calm smile on his face, and his eyes were gleaming with a strange light. He was the protagonist of this book, Xia Yu. "No trouble, Director Xia, do you need our help to get in?" The person who got off the car was a director of the Talent Workshop, who looked to be about 30 years old. He was considered a senior official in the Talent Workshop. But he absolutely did not dare to look down on Xia Yu because of his youth, or have any small thoughts. Because the people who did this before were probably as tall as him on their graves. "No need." Xia Yu smiled and waved his hand, and several expressionless and dead-eyed men unloaded the goods from the car. The bed was pushed past Xia Yu, and a girl with short brown hair was lying on the bed. Her expression was painful, and her breathing was intermittent. If it weren't for the slight rise and fall in front of her body, it would probably be thought that she was dead. This girl was Tao Li, who had been transported from the Talent Workshop before. When Xia Yu saw the girl, the smile on his face finally became more real. With his wave of his hand, the men pushed Tao Li into the institute. That? Director Xia, we can keep in touch and interact more often in the future, of course. From now on, our Jiaxian Xinhao and Kegang Workshop will be partners, allies, ha ha ha. Okay, the man who was happy did not notice Xia Yu's tone when he said Kegang Workshop and the teasing in Xia Yu's expression. After watching the vehicle of Kegang workshop leave, Xia Yu turned and walked into the institute. A simple reception hall, after turning around a few times on the right rear, entered the second underground floor, and after turning around a few times, found a door. This is a pupil corridor, and behind the door is a white tunnel. As the tunnel gradually extends, a strange blue color also appears in front, and then approach. It seems that after crossing a certain boundary, the world suddenly becomes bright, which is enough to shock all outsiders. A fairly bright giant space, with various modern machines. Although it is a modern machine, it feels a bit like black technology. The cube, which seemed to be made of crystal, was somewhat similar to the recently appeared translucent computer, but there was no trace of input devices such as keyboards or mice around it. In the center were 3 rectangular columns with complex, chaotic, but strangely beautiful pictures on them. A hospital bed was stopped here, and the men also revealed their true faces. The mimic skin on the outside quickly dissipated, revealing a highly technological mechanical body inside. Blue light bands flashed on it, reflecting the sense of science fiction. Retreat. Following Xia Yu's order, the robots retreated to the rear and stopped at the entrance of the tunnel, standing upright like sentinels. The thousands of electromagnetic superpowers in the Academy City, the peak of potential, the original clone of the future level 5 super electromagnetic gun, although extremely unstable, but instability is worth looking forward to. Chapter 2 Eternal Variables. Start, clerk, detect and scan the target, accept the command, execute the command, deploy the clerk, and start scanning the target unit. 4 translucent crystals slowly fell from the air, and were located on the 4 sides of Dolly. Following the command, the crystal faces faced Dolly, and blue light was emitted from the crystal faces. Then the crystal faces rotated at high speed with Dolly as the center. Artificial carbon-based life form, current state, extremely weak, on the verge of death. Access her computing system, penetrate the bloodline factor, and detect her personal reality. Superpowers. The official explanation is personal reality, and the details are creating this kind of one's own reality in an artificial way, which is you create your own reality. Such a mysterious explanation. So far, although most organizations in the Academy City have data on testing and training superpowers for others, there are very few who really understand the specific composition of superpowers. And Xia Yu is one of the few. The specific theory of personal reality explained by superpowers is that the information received by humans is not obtained through recognized physical senses, but is perceived through the mind, and this so-called mind does not refer to the so-called brain. In fact, although the calculation capacity of superpowers is extremely amazing, their brains are not much different from those of ordinary people. The mind is more inclined to intuition and telepathy and other unclear things. This may be more suitable for the soul in religious studies. Superpowers are born from the soul, and the soul is connected to the material body, so it is also the reason why all 20,000 clones cloned by the genes of the future LV5 super electromagnetic gun are electromagnetic force. It is also because they are cloned, and their physical bodies are not equal to the souls in their bodies, so their emotions and superpowers are not prominent. The theory obtained by Xia Yu is not nonsense, nor is it presumptuous. Although he dare not be absolutely sure, because Xia Yu cannot prove the existence of the soul, or completely define the so-called concept of the soul, but there is enough evidence as material. When the next theory appears and completely overturns this theory, Xia Yu can be proved wrong. Science itself is a process of constant pursuit and exploration. There is no eternal truth, only constantly updated knowledge. After the introduction, we naturally have to introduce our protagonist, Xia Yu, and what he is doing now. Xia Yu has many identities. He is the only LV5, eternal variable in the Academy City, the director of the Jiazhang Research Institute, the shareholder of most of the assets of the Academy City, the chairman of the discipline committee, the decision maker of the underground inability to organize rules, and the chairman of the Xinhuo group. These are all surprising, but the most important thing for him is the identity of traverser. Traversal is the abbreviation of traversal of time and space, and the traverser is naturally the existence that completes this feat. Unfortunately, the feat of traversal was not accomplished by Xia Yu himself, and it has nothing to do with him at all. It all depends on the existence of the Ark of Civilization. Where is the Ark of Civilization? Xia Yu actually doesn't know, but Xia Yu can see it. It was an extremely mysterious space, with endless gray-white fog flowing like water, dotted with crimson stars. Some of them were large, some were small, Some were hidden in the depths, and some floated on the surface. Each of them seemed to be within reach, but it was as dreamy as catching the moon in the water. And in the center of these stars, a mysterious sphere was suspended there. Strands of golden breath were constantly interweaving, and its surface was like a flowing river, going round and round. But after the initial airflow returned to the origin, it was a new airflow. The blood-colored stars around kept shining, as if they had some special connection with the sphere in the middle, and they were constantly responding to it every moment. They seemed to exist, and they seemed to be nothingness. They seemed to be undergoing changes in the multiplication of infinite squares every moment, and it seemed to be like this all the time. And if Xia Yu took the initiative to look carefully at the so-called golden sphere, he would find that it was a world. It was a world composed of data, where every life, every object, and every tiny change would derive new processes, which would multiply, intersect, and develop endlessly. This world is always in the midst of existing and new calculations, and the ever-growing calculations are its essence. And crossing is actually the process in which the Ark of Civilization found a gap through calculations and took Xia Yu out of it, and then drilled in through another gap. Of course, Xia Yu had no impression of the previous memories. Although Xia Yu could use the power of the Ark of Civilization, it was just a pendant after all. It was like a human picking up an ant, taking 2 steps and putting it down. For the ant, it might be a new world. Xia Yu didn't notice anything at all, and he came here. His body, which was originally in his 20s, was only 7 years old because of some accident, but fortunately he could continue to grow. And his luck was pretty good. He happened to be brought back by a researcher from the college city who used technology to discover that he was a raw stone. Regarding the identity of the raw stone, Xia Yu speculated that the reason for crossing was not small. What? You asked that researcher? Don't ask. If you ask, you will die. Xia Yu's superpower is calculation and learning. In addition to the difference in ability and consciousness between superpowers, the basis for measuring strength is computational capacity. Every superpower is like a computer, and its computing capacity is the network speed. The more powerful the computing capacity, the faster the speed of completing the planned goals. And its ability is like the software that you usually use to surf the internet. The ability application is like the website on the software. With high computing capacity and fast network speed, you can open the ability faster and then open other means. Xia Yu's ability itself is this computational capacity, that is, the network itself. In theory, Xia Yu is a whiteboard computer. At first, there is nothing except the system. However, with the internet, software can be downloaded. Websites can be installed. Xia Yu can simulate the superpowers of others by simulating the way others calculate and run. So far, he only has some ordinary abilities, such as flame, hurricane, optical refraction, electromagnetic force and so on. The main reason for the arrival of Dolly this time is naturally that Xia Yu wants to study her electromagnetic force for update. After all, the gap between people is bigger than that between people and pigs. There is a big gap between talented people and losers. For example, the configuration of software running on inferior computers is definitely different from that running on high-quality computers. If you have the conditions, you should update it. Chapter 3 Firewalls and Visitors. The electromagnetic force template has been downloaded and connected to the previous template. The redundant data has been eliminated and the update has been completed. A series of mechanized voices appear directly in Xia Yu's mind. This is Xia Yu's superpower calculation. Xia Yu's calculation amount is very huge, and it has been updated and increased geometrically for a long time at high speed. The reason is that Xia Yu simulates the operation mode of Civilization Ark, Data World to make its calculation amount show a multiplication and intersection growth mode. Of course, because Xia Yu's calculation amount is limited after all, and the amount of personal soul is limited, Xia Yu's calculation amount growth trend is exaggerated, but most of it is uncontrollable calculation amount, and these calculation amounts dissipate very quickly. In short, there is not enough memory and hardware. Of course, Xia Yu's calculation amount is still growing, and its trend is extremely exaggerated compared to the normal trend. He has only been officially LV5 for a few months, and his calculation amount is more than 5 times that of a normal LV5. The huge amount of calculation and the high-speed operation mode will inevitably affect Xia Yu's emotions and behavior, which will make him more rational, that is, make Xia Yu closer to a machine. Therefore, Xia Yu separated the huge amount of calculation from himself, and with the help of the Ark of Civilization, He created an inner personality without emotions, which Xia Yu named Firewall. This personality is responsible for processing data and providing human protection for Xia Yu, so that he will not become a machine that only obeys and calculates. And this experimental base is connected to the inner personality, and the specific principle is similar to the principle of network cables and signals. Ding! An outsider has been detected. The monitoring has captured him and performed face recognition. The target has significant characteristics and his identity has been confirmed. The target is the Dr. Underworld Chaser of the 1st Hospital of the 7th District of the Academy City. Investigate. It was I who called him over 30 minutes ago. The report of the firewall was transmitted to Xia Yu's mind. Of course, he called this person, and the reason was naturally to ask him to treat Taoli. Although Taoli herself is worthless to Xia Yu, she has other values. Xia Yu can also use her to gain more benefits. For example, her body, the data of the future LV5, a certain scientific railgun Misaka Mikado. Or, in a short time, the data of the future LV5 psychological master Shakuhei Misaki, the new actual master of the workshop. These are all invisible benefits, and there are even more hidden benefits, so Dolly's existence is still very necessary. After all, compared with what he will get in the future, Xia Yu will only lose some medicines and some finances, which are not worth mentioning at all. For Xia Yu, money? It's really just a number. In the past days, he relied on a huge amount of computing power to occupy a position almost leading in cutting-edge technology. This Academy City has industries in which he has invested all over the streets. It is no exaggeration to say, he is a shareholder of the entire Academy City. And the richer, or the more material, Xia Yu understands that some intangible things are often more precious than material things, such as the LV5 favor that is enough to defeat a country, small country, by one person. Push her directly into the medical room. With Xia Yu's order, the 4 robots that were originally stationed at the door lit up with fluorescent lights, and they immediately began to act. Just as Xia Yu was about to leave to greet the guests, a weak gasp came from the bed behind him. Xia Yu looked and saw that it was Taoli, who had slightly woken up and was constantly gasping. Big brother, who are you? My name is Xia Yu. Am I going to die? No, you won't die as long as I'm here. Before the girl fell into coma, she saw the boy's serious and firm words. Hurry up and let Xia Yu come to see me. Didn't you say that someone's life is in danger? Take me there quickly. In the hall in front of the laboratory, an old man in a white coat and a face that looked a bit like a frog sternly scolded the etiquette lady in front of him. I have already notified the director, and he is coming. The only one who responded to him was the etiquette lady, with those empty words and a fake smile on her face. That's right, this etiquette lady is also a robot. The old man in a white coat looked a little ugly, and there was a sternness on his kind face that was hard to ignore. Ming to Chasing Soul, this is his name and nickname. He is the best doctor in the entire Academy City. He is known, no, not known, if you don't die, you can save you. This is his medical skills. Taoli's current physical condition, even the Academy City with such advanced technology cannot save her, so Xia Yu invited him. If there is anyone in this city who can save Taoli, it is only him. As for why Ming to Chasing Soul called Xia Yu by his name, it is naturally because they are very familiar with each other. As the leader of cutting-edge technology, the hospitals in the entire Academy City use medical instruments produced by Xia Yu. After a few visits, they just know each other. Usually, Ming to Chasing Soul is a kind and amiable old man, but once he touches life, he will turn into Doctor Who tugs of war with the god of death. Although he is familiar with Xia Yu, he can't be polite when it comes to human life. You, Dr. Mingtu, don't be angry, come this way. Xia Yu finally came to the front desk. He didn't say much nonsense, but immediately stretched out his hand to lead the way. The Soul Chaser immediately followed. He did not hold his breath with Xia Yu but asked immediately, what's the patient's condition? The patient is a clone. He has accumulated a lot of traces of experiments on his body. His genetic engineering is unstable, which has caused his life characteristics to reach the limit. He's expected to have only 3 days left. Xia Yu did not waste words, but directly explained the situation. I have to go and see the patient before I can come up with a suitable plan. No problem, follow me. If you need anything, just let me know. I will be fully responsible for the preparation. Of course, Xia Yu and the Soul Chaser came to the medical room quickly and vigorously. This medical room can be said to be the most developed and complete medical facility in the entire college city, and even in the world. Whether it is Chinese medicine or Western medicine, this place has everything. Of course, neither of them cared about this, but walked straight to Taoli lying on the bed. Chapter 4: Advanced Nanoparticles. After a series of confirmations such as Chinese medicine pulse diagnosis and instrument testing, the soul chaser of the underworld proposed to Xia Yu to temporarily live for a while, so that he could think of a way as soon as possible. The problem is really serious. After confirming it, the soul chaser of the underworld found that Taoli's condition was almost the worst he imagined. The only difference is that her desire to survive is still very high. Although her body functions are on the verge of stagnation, she can still function so far, which has already highlighted the patient's desire to survive. As a doctor, the soul chaser of the underworld will do his best to save every patient, not to mention that there are patients with such a desire to survive, so he naturally has to go all out. So he unceremoniously asked Xia Yu to prepare a large number of instruments, medicines and high-tech, and immediately prepared a treatment plan. Xia Yu also showed the latest technology that he had studied that had not been announced to the outside world and could be used for medical treatment, such as nano-micro robots, to the soul chaser of the underworld. As for saving Taoli, Xia Yu, like the soul chaser of the underworld, held the mentality of doing his best. What he did was not only the benefits that Taoli could give him later, but also, he agreed. Xia Yu promised to let her live, so Xia Yu must do it. So, one night later, I have prepared a treatment plan. This time I can't be of much use. It mainly requires the power of your nano-micro robots. I don't know much about your latest technology, but if it can really achieve the effect described in the manual, then today will be smooth. If it can't be done, you'd better tell me. I can prepare a new plan, the soul chaser of the underworld said with some seriousness. This was the first time he handed the patient's life to someone who is not a doctor. However, so far, the most likely plan he could think of to save Taoli is this one. With the congenital genetic engineering defects and the accumulated side effects of the experimental scars, Taoli's body is no different from an old man who is about to die. Even if he is a good doctor, he can't snatch a person whose lifespan has reached the limit from hell. However, if Xia Yu's nano-robot is really as he said, then it can enter Taoli's body and help her body organs and tissues maintain life functions. Then through nursing, the possibility of recovery is not small. Hey, old man, who doesn't know that the technology of Xinhuo Group is the best in the world? Besides, this is my man, I will definitely not hold him back. When the time comes, don't be surprised that you can't remember the follow-up treatment plan. Xia Yu certainly has confidence. If a scientist doesn't even trust his own ideas and products, how can he expect others to believe in them? Humph, even if I get scared to the point of Alzheimer's, I will not forget the treatment plan for any patient. Ming Tu's Huhan also laughed. He still recognized Xia Yu's ability. Since Xia Yu is so confident, it means that he will definitely not let down. Nano-micro robot, full name, Bioengineering Micro Advanced Nano Machine Particles. Loaded in a 50 mg reagent, the color is red. Its function is to flow continuously along the blood vessels, distribute the tiny nanoparticles throughout the body, and through artificial activation, assist its life. Of course, generally speaking, it takes 3 days to evenly distribute throughout the body. As time is relatively tight, Xia Yu decided to manually operate his particles to shorten the time. In Xia Yu's 50 milliliters, the number of nanoparticles is as high as hundreds of thousands. The number of red blood cells circulating a day is as high as thousands of times, and the human body has countless blood vessels. It is extremely difficult to transport these hundreds of thousands of nanoparticles to various parts of Taoli's body with priority in a short period of time. Even the most advanced supercomputer on the market needs superpower to carry them. But Xia Yu can do it. He doesn't need a so-called computer. He is one of the most terrifying computing machines in the world. So far, the only one known to be able to surpass him is the main computer tree diagram designer of the Academy City. If Xia Yu's terrifying computing capacity is fully expanded, he can even write a parallel and layered Academy City with data. It is a piece of cake for him to operate it personally. The previous concerns of the Underworld Chaser were not only about the lack of understanding of new technologies, but also about the lack of understanding of Xia Yu's individual computing capacity. Then I'm going to start. The patient's life is in your hands. Xia Yu injected the blood red medicine in his hand into Taoli's body. The blood red medicine slowly entered, differentiated into dense nanoparticles in the blood vessels, and began to circulate with the blood. Firewall, open the authority. B. The firewall itself was set up to protect Xia Yu, a personal restraint. Xia Yu turned its degree of liberation into authority, and B level was 50%. A huge amount of calculation radiated from Xia Yu's mind and connected to the nanoparticles very smoothly. Xia Yu's own emotions were also suppressed under the incomparable amount of calculation. Xia Yu's eyes became cold and ruthless. The amount of calculation in his mind constituted Taoli's human body icon, from the 5 internal organs to the end of the capillaries, all displayed in 3D. The trajectory of a particle continued to run in the calculation diagram in the brain, and Taoli's human body icon was also differentiated into more than tens of thousands. A large number of simulation experiments were running quickly in the mind. After only 1 second, the perfect ending of tens of thousands of simulation experiments had already appeared in Xia Yu's mind. The huge amount of calculations was not taken back by Xia Yu, but the nanoparticles were manipulated to perfectly follow the perfect route of the simulation. This route is the fastest, most effective, and has no accidents among hundreds of thousands of simulations. Xia Yu's calculations covered Taoli's whole body. When every step of the process is perfect, the best ending is also a matter of course. The nanoparticles successfully reached every position, and under Xia Yu's calculation design, a perfect cycle was formed to ensure that no problem would occur at every position in a short time. And all this took only 10 minutes. Firewall closed, the huge amount of calculations was recycled again, and the data calculations continued, and Xia Yu's emotions also returned from suppression. Okay, it was too fast, so fast that the soul chaser in the underworld was confused. He didn't even know what had just happened, but he didn't hesitate. But immediately began to check Taoli and plan the next step. Chapter 5, The Flame and the 4 Palaces. Amazing. This nanoparticle is really a great invention in the medical field. Don't worry. It won't be long before this product will be arranged in every hospital in the college city, and it will definitely be sent to you first. Now, I guess you can get a lot of data again. Look at what you said, some data versus life. What do you think? Outside the medical room, the soul chaser in the underworld has arranged the most reasonable recuperation plan for Dolly. As for the nanoparticles, of course he wants them. He is just a doctor. He only cares whether these things can bring back a patient who has half a foot in the underworld. As for the so-called data, he doesn't care. Nanoparticles are a byproduct of the calculations in Xia Yu's mind. Their role is not only for medical treatment, but also for other aspects. For example, after being injected into the body and circulating in the blood throughout the body, Xia Yu can access the particles to detect and collect his body and superpower programs. This is Xia Yu's main purpose. Secondly, although those nanoparticles will gradually be absorbed by the human body, they will leave a secret door in the personal computing data. At the critical moment, Xia Yu can even use their computing power to do something. The rest, the so-called fame. What money? They are all byproducts, and they are all byproducts in the process of achieving the goal. Although it is difficult for ordinary people to obtain these things. However, for people who have the ability, it is just a byproduct of achieving the goal. After all, in terms of fame, Xia Yu is currently the only level 5 superpower person eternal variable in the city. In terms of financial resources, about 30% of the entire college city economy will go into Xia Yu's account. These are just the capital he added for his own purpose. Okay, I'll go back first. Take good care of your patient. Contact me at any time if you have anything. Ming Tu's Huhan is not Xia Yu's special doctor. He is also the dean and attending physician of a hospital. He can't stay with one patient all the time. He has other patients to take care of. I have arranged a car, please. Okay, the soul chaser did not refuse Xia Yu's kindness. After all, the car Xia Yu arranged would definitely be able to take him to the hospital as quickly as possible. Perhaps in this short period of time, he could save a person. Time is life. This sentence is true for him. After watching the soul chaser's car leave, Xia Yu turned around and got on another car. He had an appointment with someone to discuss things today, but he had stood her up for half an hour because of Dolly. Just 1 minute after Xia Yu left, the steel door closed automatically, and the light on the robot instantly turned into a light red color. Daily mode turned into battle preparation mode. These robots are connected to the firewall. At critical moments, They can even borrow Xia Yu's own computing power and carry out ability engineering to display the ability state equivalent to that of a LV4, powerful person. Although there seem to be few robots inside, there are actually more than 100 of them. Their defensive power is so strong that even a LV5, superpower person cannot win in a short time. This research institute is the most important place for Xia Yu. It is the place where the firewall is placed and the place where all kinds of cutting-edge technologies are stored. Not to mention the information data of how many people with abilities are still unknown. Oh, by the way, there is now another tally. And the place Xia Yu is going to now is the headquarters building of Xia Yu's Xinhuo Group. Now let's introduce Xia Yu's Xinhuo Group in detail. Xinhuo Group is a cutting-edge technology company in the college city on the surface. It has cooperation with many countries and groups. There are nearly 100 research institutes and more than 1,000 researchers. The factory industry chain is scattered throughout the industrial zone of the college city. It is famous for its good welfare and high reputation. It can be said that in addition to the core Zhejiang Research Institute that serves Xia Yu, other research institutes focus on various aspects of technology. The ideas and algorithms of those researchers are collected by Xia Yu's firewall, constantly evolving, and giving birth to byproducts. That is, the products that those researchers originally wanted. Of course, Xia Yu did not take other people's ideas for nothing. The byproducts produced by Xia Yu will give the parties 5% of the profit and will also enhance their personal status. And this time the guest is actually the chairman of a group. The chairman of the SYGN Group, SYGN Yan'an. With total assets of 200 trillion yen and more than 1,000 subsidiaries, the group is involved in all aspects and is known as one of the 4 major conglomerates. Are you surprised? Yes, Xia Yu was also surprised at the beginning. However, it was not the so-called strength of the SYGN Consortium, but the existence of this consortium. The SYGN Consortium is naturally a behemoth for ordinary people, rich enough to rival a country. But for Xia Yu, who is already a one-man rival to a country, as long as he wants, the SYGN Consortium is his ATM, not to mention that the Xinhuo Group is the leader of the world's cutting-edge technology. Compared with the real estate, automobiles and other things involved in the SYGN Consortium, cutting-edge technology will always represent the pinnacle of the world. After all, those only represent the lower limit of a country, while cutting-edge technology does represent the upper limit. Although Xia Yu is not as rich as him, the gap is almost the gap between the top scholar and the local rich man in the countryside. The reason why Xia Yu was surprised at the existence of the SYGN Consortium was, this consortium was another anime that Xia Yu had watched in his previous life, and Academy City was a different one. Of course, this just surprised Xia Yu. He is no longer the otaku who only smiles at the computer desk. Now he is a qualified scientist and an excellent talent. For this phenomenon, he directly deduced it as the multiverse information quantum transmission theory. It means that things that happen in other worlds are reflected in another world for some reason, expressed in some carrier, and recognized by others. For example, novels, animation, etc. Forget it, it's not very important. The important thing is that a few days ago, SYGN Yan'an suddenly said that he had something to ask him and agreed to visit today. And Xia Yu stood up the general because of Taoli, which was impolite. Of course, SYGN Yan'an naturally didn't dare to talk to him more, but it was indeed wrong to stand him up. Of course, Xia Yu wouldn't care about this, after all, Taoli's matter was more important. Chapter 6, SYGN Yan'an. Father, half an hour has passed since the agreed time, and the other party still hasn't shown up. It's too rude. Obviously, the other party despises us very much. On the 33rd floor of Xinhuo building, which is Xia Yu's office. The guests who came from afar have been waiting for a long time. There are 3 guests in total. One is a middle-aged man in his 50s, dressed in a suit. His capable temperament and the majesty on his face reflect his high status. This person is the commander-in-chief of the SYGN Group, SYGN Yan'an. The other 2 are 2 girls, about 12 years old. One has black hair and red eyes, skin as white as snow, and an expression on her face that looks like the frost that never melts in the Arctic. Her tone is full of dissatisfaction. This is SYGN Yan'an's daughter, named SYGN Kaguya. The other person had long golden hair as bright as the sun and a pair of eyes as blue as the sky. Her face and skin were comparable to the black-haired girl next to her, and her figure was almost the same. However, there was a hint of weakness between the girl's eyebrows, which was in sharp contrast to the other 2 who exuded a strong aura. She was the daughter of a cadre of the Shinomiya group, Hayasaka AI. Hayasaka AI grew up as a study companion of the prince since she was a child. Given the difference in their status, it was no wonder that she was so weak. No need to say more. Wait, Shinomiya Yanan's words were sonorous and powerful, and his tone was stern and could not be refused. Shinomiya Kaguya naturally could not go against her father's wishes, and at the same time she was a little curious about the person her father wanted to see. In her impression, Shinomiya Yanan has always been a representative of strong and independent behavior. His personal style is very tough. Under normal circumstances, if the other party did not show up on time, he would definitely leave without hesitation and retaliate against him. This was a return gift for the other party's contempt. But this time, he actually did nothing. Not only did he not retaliate, he did not even walk away in a cold face, which is usually the behavior of the weak party. Is the next thing to be discussed important? Or, the next person to meet is important? As for the last Hayasaka AI, she naturally had no opinion. Even if she did, it would be meaningless. Just as their minds were changing, Xia Yu finally pushed the door open and entered. Sorry. Because something happened, I was delayed and kept you waiting for a long time. Xia Yu walked in with a faint smile. No. Mr. Xia is busy with all kinds of things. I am sorry to disturb you by visiting. Shigen Yanan immediately stood up, put on a smile on his face and walked directly to Xia Yu. The Shigen group, and even the Shigen family, is a place with strict rules. As the head of a company and a family, Shigen Yanan stood up, so even his daughter was not qualified to sit. As for Hayasaka AI, let's put it this way. If she sits now, it is estimated that the whole family will appear in the lake the next day. Kaguya Shinomiya and AI Hayasaka stood up almost instinctively. Perhaps, this is the tragedy of a big family. Everyone, please sit down. Guests are welcome. According to the customs of my hometown, everyone should do this, but I am not polite enough. Sorry, I don't understand the culture of your hometown. I will sit down now. Not polite enough? Now you know? You just made us wait for more than half an hour. Kaguya Shinomiya's appearance was still cold as ice, but she was complaining in her heart. Because of the college city that appeared in neon, the three big gangsters launched an action. The headquarters of the Blue Star Joint Conference moved from Eagle Country to Neon. The three countries used the reason of maintaining the authority of the Blue Star Joint Conference to station their troops in Neon. Now Neon has basically lost its sovereignty, and the only weapons left are the backward pistols that police officers can hold. At the same time, the cultural output of the three parties is even more ruthless. Therefore, Kaguya Shinomiya also understands Han culture very well, so she complained in her heart. But it was just a complaint, she didn't dare to say it. After all, she had deeply discovered that Xia Yu was not simple. A young man who was not much older than her, although his appearance was amazing, she would not believe that her father would do such an unconventional behavior because of this. She was very smart. From the meaning of this building and Xia Yu's casualness, she basically guessed that Xia Yu was an important figure in the Xinhuo group, and even the chairman. Although it was unbelievable that he was so young, it was not impossible. However, this identity was not enough for Shigen Yanan to be so humble. Yes, humble, she could only think of this word to describe it at present. He must be extraordinary. In fact, Shigen Yanan did put himself in a lower position. Because after all, Shigen Yanan was still an entrepreneur, or a capitalist. Although he was rich enough to rival a country and had a long network of relationships. But he definitely did not dare to be arrogant with Xia Yu. So far, Neon has been disarmed, and only 3 hooligans in the Academy City have armed forces in the entire Neon. Among them, the power of the Academy City is the most powerful. This is not only a city for people with abilities, but also represents the pinnacle of the highest technology in this world. There is no doubt that the status of the Academy City in the international arena is no less than that of the 5 hooligans. Xia Yu's status in the Academy City is also quite high. Not to mention that his status as the chairman of the discipline committee is equivalent to the head of the police department. The relationship brought by the Xinhuo group and infiltrating every corner of the Academy City is so powerful that it can be said to be all-powerful. At present, the key project of the Shigen group, the Research Institute of the Possibility of Mass Research on People with Special Abilities, is in the Academy City, which is related to the future development direction of the Shigen group, so he came here this time to win over Xia Yu. And the means of winning over are naturally extremely clever and vulgar. After all, since ancient times, the two ways of winning over Proton and heroes cannot pass the beauty barrier are the most effective. Oh General Shigen, you mean that you want your beloved daughter Shigen Kaguya and this Hayasaka AI to live in the Academy City together, and ask me to help them develop superpowers, right? Xia Yu smiled and tapped the table lightly. How could Xia Yu not know about Shigen Yanan's idea? Xia Yu even knew about Shigen Yanan's plan for the Shigen Research Institute in the Academy City. The Shigen family seems to have a superpower development research institute in the Academy City. I remember your son was developing there for a while a year ago, but it seems a pity that he has no superpowers. Xia Yu's words startled Shigen Yanan, and he even began to speculate about his own spies, but he immediately put all this aside. Since Xia Yu took the initiative to bring it up, it meant that the other party had no clear malicious intentions, so he should solve this matter first. Chapter 7 Two-Item Girls. Mr. Xia is really well informed. That's right. I think my institute is not strong enough and has different methods of developing superpowers, so I want to ask you, an expert in the development of superpowers in the academy, to help. Not simple. This attitude is not impossible. Isn't it normal for this man? No wonder he brought me and Hayasaka with him today. But what is the identity of this boy? Is it worth it? After hearing this, Shinomiya Kaguya completely understood what her father meant. She actually knew this day a long time ago, but she didn't expect it to be so close. And why? What kind of identity is that boy, or what kind of value does he have that actually made Shinomiya Yanan reach this point? You have to know that when Shinomiya Kaguya's elder brother, Shinomiya Huangguang, married the Universal Giant Enterprise, which is also one of the four major financial groups, he was not so hasty, even to the point of being crowded. Although the Shigen group is one of the four major groups, it is far behind the other three in terms of foundation, and even compared with a capable group like Xia Yu, its international influence is also far behind. The reason why it is called the four major is mainly because most people in the world are vulgar, and they pay more attention to the things that are inseparable from life, money. Therefore, only the rich Shigen group can be called the four major. Of course, the Shigen group cannot be underestimated because of this. After all, although the Shigen group only has money, money is also a kind of ability. The energy of this behemoth when it moves should never be underestimated, and it can even mess up the international world. Therefore, compared with the other four major groups, the Shigen group is only half a head lower, and the marriage with it is also a proper match. Therefore, at this moment, Shigen Kaguya could not understand why her father even put down his face and half gave her away. Of course, she couldn't figure it out. Although she was smart, she was inexperienced after all. Xia Yu and Shigen Yanan were very familiar with the reason. Let's sort it out. First of all, the status of the four major financial groups is at the top of the world. Basically, except for the five rogues and the Academy City, they are first class. Xia Yu's inheritance is not much different from that of the four palaces, but Xia Yu is a member of the Academy City Council and a part-time chief of police, chairman of the discipline committee, so he is equivalent to the other three major financial groups. That is, he is half a head higher than the four palaces. Of course, this alone is not enough. To really reach this level, there are two more chips. First, he is the chairman and the head of a company. Unlike the previous marriage partner, he is not an heir, but directly with the king. Secondly, Xia Yu is LV5, representing the peak of the individual in the world at present. It is said that he can destroy a country by himself. Although everyone knows that it is not a big country, his status is already very delicate. The accumulation of these two chips successfully made Shigen Yanan choose this step. Use a daughter who was originally used for marriage, a maid, and a little face to exchange for this relationship. For capitalists like Shigen Yanan, isn't this almost a no-cost business? Xia Yu fell into a brief silence. After being isolated by the firewall, the remaining huge amount of computing power was running at high speed, analyzing the pros and cons of this matter. After countless deductions, it was determined that it was not bad. Not bad does not mean good, but this matter will definitely not bring any harm. Since there is no harm, then how could Xia Yu refuse the two beautiful girls who came to his door? No matter what, Xia Yu is still a man after all, and the one who came is the wife he imagined in his previous life, so accepting it has become a matter of course. Ho-ha, since Commander-in-Chief Shinomiya has such trust in me, I will certainly not let you down. I will do my best to help your beloved daughter awaken her superpowers and conduct subsequent training, then I'll leave it to you. I still have some things to do here, please feel free to do whatever you want." Shinomiya Yanon stood up with a warm smile, then turned to Shinomiya Kaguya and Hayasaka AI and said, "Kaguya, AI, you must emphasize, listen to Mr. Xia here." "Yes, father." Shinomiya Kaguya just watched her father sell her to Xia Yu, but what could she do? As a member of the Shinomiya family, she was taught from childhood that this was what she should pay, and she could only accept it. Yes, Commander-in-Chief, even the princess of the Shinomiya family did this, and Hayasaka AI, a maid, naturally had no power to refuse. "Don't worry, AI, your father is an excellent talent, and it's time to raise his position." At the end, Shinomiya Yanon mentioned it intentionally or unintentionally. Hayasaka AI's body tense up, and then she nodded as if she accepted her fate. "Don't worry. I will take good care of the two ladies. Do you need me to take you back?" No, my driver is waiting downstairs. I have to leave now." After that, Shigen Yanon left in a hurry, and Xia Yu did not go out to see him off, but just watched him leave. Xia Yu sat in the main seat, and his eyes looked at the two beautiful girls who were left with him. Shigen Kaguya's face was as cold as ice, and the depths of her eyes were like those of a dead person, with no expression, as if she had no emotions, but from the slight movements between her fingers, it can be seen that she is still very nervous. The other one, Hayasaka AI, even had her nervousness on her face. Her hands were entangled in front of her, and she subconsciously lowered her head to escape Xia Yu's gaze, fidgeting. This word really fits her now. Still an ice sculpture beauty, she is completely different from the changeable maid in my impression. She is too tender. Xia Yu examined the two people in front of him. To be honest, he really wanted to do whatever he wanted to them now, even directly train them to become. 3 words were censored here, but the author added 25 words. It's alright, but there is no need. Xia Yu felt a comfortable touch on his shoulder. Hayasaka AI was massaging Xia Yu's shoulder with skillful hands. As a low-level existence, Hayasaka AI is very conscious and knows what she can and should do. Xia Yu chuckled, and then said, "Ladies, do you want to change your status of being at the mercy of others? Next is a good opportunity. Get ready. Get ready to awaken your own reality." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Rough Stone State. The Pearl and Jade Research Institute is the core research institute of the Xinhuo Group besides the 9 chapters. So far, this research has produced more than 10 LV4, high-ability users, thousands of LV3, strong ability users, and countless LV2, different ability users and LV1, weak ability users. The main reason for such a large number of ability users is that Xia Yu used power and capital to make this research institute the official superpower training and testing institute of the 5 core schools in the Academy City, except Tokuwade and Changdian Shengji School. In this way, Xia Yu successfully collected about 40% of the ability information of the middle level of the entire Academy City, and even better and more detailed intelligence. Tokuwade has its own research institute, and Tokuwade is a girls' school, so it is not convenient to use an external research institute. Changdian Shengji School has someone behind it, and it is also a high-level person in the Academy City. It is the territory of the Kahara family, and even Xia Yu cannot intervene. After all, the data of people with special abilities is an extremely important resource for every research institute and even the forces behind them, not to mention the 5 famous schools that gather more than 70% of the young level 3 strong people with special abilities in the entire college city. It is already remarkable that Xia Yu can get 3 of them. Among these 3 famous schools, there is one of only 2 level 5 people, who is also a raw stone, Sojiita Junba. The other one is naturally Xia Yu. Sojiita Junba's situation is very special. He is called the largest raw stone in the world, and his ability is still unknown. Raw stones are different from normal superpowers. Their state is more stable. Similarly, stability to a certain extent also means that the possibility of improvement is small. The vast majority of raw stone owners basically reach the end once they are activated, and their abilities rarely change. If a normal ability user is a computer, then a raw stone-activated user is like a little genius learning machine. It is far from being able to compete with an ability user in terms of computing power, but it is not inferior in terms of learning, referring to a single direction, and can compete with an ability user with less computing power. For example, Sojiita Junba, his computing power is only at the normal level of LV5, but his destructive power and other abilities are far superior to his own computing power. Xia Yu's raw stone ability, calculation, is more special. Obviously, the raw stone is more stable than normal, but its own ability represents an unstable process, which led to Xia Yu's initial raw stone awakening LV4 and promotion to LV5. Xia Yu also has special research on raw stone. The ability engineering of raw stone is generally perfect, or natural, and the development and application of its engineering are very simple and do not require much computing power. This is a benefit, because the talent representing the raw stone ability user is actually better. But it also represents a disadvantage, that is, the perfection of the original stone ability users leads to their consumption of very little calculation, and they do not need to gradually improve themselves. The whole process is extremely smooth, so it is difficult to exercise their own calculation ability. As for Xia Yu, calculation is always just a process. Continuous calculation makes its own natural engineering superimposed and breaks through a certain limitation. On the contrary, there are more and more defects, and the more defects, the more calculations. Xia Yu's engineering is a huge one, provided that it is compared with the next one he calculates. Recently, Xia Yu will awaken SYNOPSIS and Hayasaka AI again after he did it for Sojiita Gunha. On the way to the laboratory, Hayasaka AI asked nervously and expectantly, Xia, Mr., are there any techniques for awakening superpowers? Ladies, do you want to change your status of being at the mercy of others? Next is a good opportunity. Get ready. Get ready to awaken to your own reality. Xia Yu's previous words echoed in Hayasaka AI's mind. She was tired of this life being manipulated by others, and she was tired of the powerless present. She wanted the power to change herself, the power to be truly free. And as Xia Yu said, superpowers may really be a good choice. The awakening of superpowers is complicated. All you have to do is have confidence in yourself, which will help you. Superpowers are personal reality. To be honest, everything depends on luck, or talent. Even Xia Yu can't do anything about it. However, since Xia Yu had previously guessed that superpowers were related to soul and mind, then being confident and highlighting personality should be of some use, right? Thank you, Mr. Xia. Hayasaka AI was very grateful to Xia Yu. Although Xia Yu was a person who manipulated her life before, Xia Yu gave her the opportunity to truly have power. As for whether she can really have power, it depends on herself now. I can do it. Hayasaka AI kept taking deep breaths and chanting in her heart, as if trying to hypnotize herself. And SYNOPSIS on the side was still the same, with the cold expression on her face. It seemed that she didn't pay attention to the techniques Xia Yu said, or she didn't care whether she could awaken her superpowers. However, from her breathing pattern, Xia Yu still noticed that she was also breathing deeply. Don't get me wrong, Xia Yu is not a voyeur, and he doesn't pay special attention to him. It's just that Xia Yu's instinct is constantly calculating the situation around him. The firewall is only used to protect Xia Yu's feelings, and the calculation itself does not interfere. The results calculated by a large amount of information will also be received by Xia Yu. Here we are. As Xia Yu spoke, the door of the laboratory in front of him opened from both sides, revealing the scene inside. A machine with an inlaid recliner that looked like a large capsule was in the middle, with 4 long crystal structures suspended around it. Next to it was a computer with a very sci-fi appearance. Just lie down in. Who'll go first? Miss Kaguya, go first, Hayasaka AI said nervously. This was not only a matter of respect and inferiority, but also a reflection of her own lack of self-confidence. SYNOPSIS Kaguya did not speak. She moved forward with firm steps. This girl had a tenacity far beyond that of ordinary people. Chapter 9 Superpower Awakening. Are you ready? Ready, start. As Xia Yu pressed the button, a crystal material popped out from the side of the capsule chair, sealing it. To be honest, what Sigan Yanan said was right. As the leader of science and technology in the college city, Xia Yu's ability development methods are indeed not comparable to those of ordinary research institutes. The current mainstream development methods are drugs, electric shocks to stimulate the brain, and even psychological hypnosis suggestions. These complicated methods will more or less cause harm to the body and mind. Xia Yu's method is to resonate with the unit through the giant AIM force field unconsciously emitted by Xia Yu's firewall. Note that this method is common to the research institutes of the entire Xinhou group. I dare not say that there is no harm at all, but it is definitely much stronger than drugs and the like. Of course, after the AIM force field successfully awakens the ability user, it will also directly upload its ability project and make a record. After all, Xia Yu is not doing charity. His main purpose is to get more information. Behind such humanity, it is actually just because he does not want the drugs and other side effects to damage the ability user's project. Xia Yu regards these things as his own property. Isn't it normal to protect his own property? As Xia Yu started, the familiar AIM force field appeared, emitting strange fluctuations, awakening the computing power belonging to SYNOPSIS. Through the resonance of computing power, it can draw out its own ability like a rough stone. The heart beat faster, the blood flow increased, the oxygen supply was excessive, and the brain went into a state of shutdown. SYNOPSIS' consciousness did not disappear. She could clearly feel that something hidden in her body was reviving. As the AIM force field fluctuated, SYNOPSIS responded in her body, and her own computing power was responding. The normal process is to stimulate the brain, so as to awaken the ability first, and then draw out the computing power with the ability. However, Xia Yu used the fluctuation of computing ability to first draw out the computing power of others, and then awaken the ability through the revived computing power. The memories of the past came to her mind one by one, her father's indifference, her brother's arrogance, and her mother's sigh before she died. Kaguya. If you were not born in the SYNOPSIS family, it would be better. I am sorry for you. From childhood to adulthood, the hand of the SYNOPSIS family has dominated SYNOPSIS' life. In the past, learning etiquette, learning various talents, what school to go to, what kind of people to communicate with. Now, the academy city she brought with her was given to others like an object without saying a word. In the future, there is still no light. The hand of the SYNOPSIS family still covers the sky and the sun. Even if she uses all her brain power and strength, she is as powerless as a mayfly on a tree. A life of being used as a tool, such a story, is not what I want. I want to break the situation, use everything, use all the power, use all my wisdom, and create a future of my own. A new picture scroll unfolds in my mind. The past and the present remain unchanged, but the future has changed, but the ending has not changed. One picture scroll after another opens, and there are different struggles and similar endings. In the constant deduction, she began to choose to sacrifice and choose to rely on more, but the ending is as always back to the starting point. It seems that she can't resist anything she does, and the posture of despair gradually shrouds her heart. But she did not stop. She was ready to resist and get rid of fate. The so-called awakening is to open a bright future in the dark world. For this, at all costs. When she really did this, she finally saw the future that she could control herself. She was actually a level 3 strong ability user from the beginning? The ability is to simulate the future? Use the amount of calculation to form a story and deduce it? It's interesting, it's a bit similar to my calculation. At the moment when SYNOPSIS awakened her superpower, Xia Yu, who resonated with her calculation at this moment, collected all her information at this moment. He also roughly understood SYNOPSIS' ability and principle. SYNOPSIS' ability is very similar to Xia Yu's, but it is absolutely different. SYNOPSIS' ability is to collect existing information, determine a goal, and then continuously evolve the information in a controllable and limited manner to see the ending. And this is only a very small part of Xia Yu's auxiliary functions. Xia Yu called SYNOPSIS' awakened ability virtual future. Congratulations, Miss SYNOPSIS, you are now a LV3 strong ability user. As for your ability, I believe you know it very well. Of course, SYNOPSIS certainly knew it very well, and at this moment her heart was filled with passion for the bright future she saw. However, she glanced at Xia Yu, and the frost on her face disappeared, replaced by some tangled emotions, and then said, thank you. The moment the girl was slightly shy made Xia Yu's eyes brighten, but it was only a moment, as if Xia Yu had an illusion. Of course, Xia Yu knew that it was not an illusion, but he did not care too much, but continued to say, you're welcome. This is your own ability, I just assisted you. Okay, next, it's your turn. Miss Hayasaka. Guta the blonde girl clenched her hands tightly together, her knuckles were pressed a little wide, and sweat even seeped out of her face. She was very nervous now. At this moment, the girl is at a turning point in her life. Awakening or not awakening, and even awakening abilities and talents, will represent her future. Heaven on one side, hell on the other. Please, I know. The girl took over from Kaguya Shinomiya and lay down in the capsule chair. This time it was Kaguya Shinomiya's turn to watch the process. The AIM force field began to emit fluctuations, and Hayasaka AI's body responded with resonance. LV1? She barely reached LV1. I'm afraid. LV3 is her limit. At this moment, Xia Yu already knew the girl's future. In the records of the Academy City, it's not that there are no advances from LV1 to advanced. For example, Xia Yu knew that the future LV5 super electromagnetic cannon was originally LV1. However, there are too few. The Academy City has a population of about 2.3 million, and there are 300,000 people with special abilities, but only 30,000 people with high-level special abilities, LV3 and above. There are only 2 people at LV5 at present, and there will be only 8 people in the future, including Xia Yu. If Hayasaka AI wants to break free, she must at least be LV4. If she grows normally, the probability is extremely low, about 13%. It can't be said that there is no chance, but it is basically impossible. Of course. Genshin Impact players are ecstatic. Doghead. Chapter 10 Dolly awakens. In a daze, the girl opened her eyes. The silver-white metal ceiling with a very high-tech feel was flickering with a faint light beside her. Taoli woke up from the research institute. It was already a day after the last chapter. Xia, brother Yu. After Taoli raised her head, Xia Yu, who was sitting on a chair with his eyes closed, became the first person to come into her sight. She still remembered Xia Yu's name and the situation before the last coma. Very weak. Taoli was still very weak, but she could feel that her body was not empty. If she was a hollow wood before, then now she was a seedling. Although she was still weak, she could feel the vitality of her body. She gently pulled open her simple patient gown. The dense scars on her body disappeared at this moment, and the white and delicate skin replaced the past. This body full of holes actually got a new life. Actually, Taoli's eyes were full of surprise. She was naturally the most clear about her previous body, and her current body was completely different from her previous body. Did my big brother save me? Taoli recalled Xia Yu's firm tone before. No, I'm here, you won't die. Her beautiful brown eyes narrowed slightly, and a happy smile appeared on her face. Only when you lose something will you cherish it, and Taoli, who is destined to lose her health, can feel the happiness of regaining her health at this moment. Xia Yu, who brought her this sense of happiness, naturally left Taoli with a feeling second only to those two friends. Is it, been guarding me all the time? Taoli looked at Xia Yu, who was sitting on the chair with his eyes closed. It looked like he had been waiting and fell asleep due to overwork. Why is that? Doubtful. Taoli was very confused. She knew her original physical condition very well, and it must have taken a lot of effort to cure it. And she and Xia Yu were strangers, and she herself had nothing worth seeking. She spent so much effort on treatment and waited for her to wake up for a long time. She was really confused. Could it be? Taoli suddenly thought of a possibility. She knew that she was a clone, so Xia Yu had nothing to do with her. Could it be that he was related to the original body? This way, it can explain why he saved her. This thought made Taoli feel a little disappointed, but she was very sure of this idea in her heart. After all, she was just a clone who was about to be discarded and recycled. For others, it was just a prop that could be made with 200,000 yen. Apart from this, she really couldn't understand. However, although she was disappointed, she could understand it, and her optimistic personality temporarily put this matter behind her. Taoli's petite body slowly climbed down from the bed and approached Xia Yu. So beautiful. Xia Yu in front of her made Taoli's eyes light up. She had never seen such a perfect person. His facial features were perfect and his face was very dreamy, as if it was completely calculated. If there's any shortcoming in Xia Yu's appearance, the only shortcoming is that he is too perfect and can't improve. As mentioned before, the huge amount of calculation not only brings convenience to Xia Yu's life, but also affects Xia Yu's life. Whether it is appearance or life, the huge amount of calculation is subtly shaping the perfect self in Xia Yu's subconscious mind. Only natural and human can complete this dreamy appearance. If appearance is also to be rated, then Xia Yu is definitely the LV6 level of the final goal of the college city. With a mortal body, listen to the will of God. With a mortal body, with the appearance of a god, Taoli was in her small palm, and carefully touched Xia Yu's face. Her little face was flushed, and her eyes were a little flustered as she observed the surroundings, like a kitten stealing something. Very cute. You're awake. Xia Yu suddenly opened his eyes. Although they were black, they seemed to shine with traces of the starry sky. The beauty of his eyes made Taoli stunned. Hey, Xia Yu looked at Taoli, who was dazed in front of him, frowned slightly, and called again. Taoli was awakened by Xia Yu, and instinctively dodged to the back. Shame could not help but surge in her heart, and her face was stained with crimson. The sudden instinct of the body caused the body to become weak. Taoli's feet softened and fell to the back. Xia Yu quickly reached out his hand, put his arm around Taoli's waist, and pulled Taoli into his arms. Woo woo woo. Taoli closed her eyes tightly, and her body instinctively curled up, but the expected pain did not come, and the touch on her waist had been there for a long time. Taoli slightly opened her right eye and observed carefully, and as soon as she opened it, she saw Xia Yu's somewhat indifferent face. Then she realized that she was in Xia Yu's arms. I don't want to get pregnant. Taoli's sudden words really made Xia Yu look confused, and he even subconsciously stretched out his hand to wait for handcuffs. However, he quickly reacted. Stupid, you won't get pregnant this way. Of course, if you want to try, I naturally don't mind. Xia Yu said something incredible. If there were discipline committee members or security guards here now, maybe tomorrow's headline would be shocking. The head of the discipline committee was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Does it mean that the chairman has failed in the struggle at the top? No? But Xia Yu said that if you are hugged by a man, you will get pregnant, right? Taoli tilted her little head and said with some doubt. Xia Yu? Oh, is it Jinx Kangui? Xia Yu quickly recalled the character in his mind. Jinx Kangui, level 4, has the ability of liquid human figure, which is also an interesting ability user. He is currently on the run. It seems that he wanted to destroy the talent workshop before, but failed and was wanted. Xia Yu quickly recalled the information about Jinx Kangui in his mind, but still answered, no, you misunderstood her meaning. You will know when you grow up. Grow up? Taoli. Can she still grow up? Originally at this point, Taoli's own body functions were still exhausted. It was already a luxury to live, let alone the so-called growing up. Well, indeed, you won't grow too much physically. Hearing Xia Yu's words, Taoli lowered her head in disappointment. However, growing up does not only refer to the growth of the body, but also the growth of the heart. As Xia Yu said, he pointed to the position of Taoli's heart with his finger. Wu, the girl's face suddenly turned red again, and she lowered her head and said, look, girls' breasts can't be touched by boys, and those who touch Dolly are dead perverts. Big brother, are you a pervert? I'm exposed, dog head. Chapter 11, Academy City at Night. During the day, the Academy City is a peaceful and prosperous international city, while at night, it is a chaotic place full of street thugs. Although there is the world's top technology here and cameras are installed in the streets and alleys, it is after all a place where all kinds of superpowers are rampant, and the crimes committed here are completely different from those in normal cities. Xia Yu was walking alone on the street. It was already around 10 o'clock in the evening, and the number of people on the street became extremely scarce, and it could even be said that they could be counted on one hand. The Academy City is a city dominated by students. 70% of its members are students, and students here generally live in campus dormitories. Generally speaking, the dormitory is closed at 9 o'clock. Therefore, such a scene is caused. As for what Xia Yu is doing? Naturally, he is chivalrous and righteous. Of course, if he is called looking for fun, it doesn't matter. The crime rate of the Academy City at night is still not low. Although they are not serious crimes, they will still have a bad impact on the Academy City. As the head of the discipline committee and even a shareholder of the Academy City, Xia Yu has the obligation to protect his personal property, protect the physical and mental safety of residents. Classmate over there, it's already curfew, why are you still wandering on the street? Which school are you from? Xia Yu turned around, and behind him, at the corner about 20 meters in front of him, there was a pink Lolita about 1.3 meters tall. The Lolita was holding a textbook, her tender face was full of fatigue, and her tone was as stern as a teacher scolding a bad student. but there was unspeakable excitement in her eyes. Little girl, are you lost? Do you need your brother to take you home? I'm a teacher, but which school are you from? Are you worried about being scolded if you can't make it to the curfew? It's okay, I'll go and talk to you. It's too dangerous to wander on the street at night. The pink Lolita walked in front of Xia Yu with small steps, and said to Xia Yu with her head held high. If you want to play some weird PI, I won't mind, but I'm busy now. How about you come to my house later? Don't worry, my house is quite big. You can go to sleep when you are tired. It's okay. Hey. Ahu, yes, it's me. There is a mobile 5th class merit here. Hurry up, wait. Teacher Xiamen, I'm just kidding you. I'm actually the discipline committee member, responsible for night duty. Look, Xia Yu took out the discipline committee member's armband to prove it to Xiamen. Discipline committee member? Wait, how do you know my name? Did you know me before? No, isn't your teacher's certificate hanging around your neck? Don't look at me like this, I am a person with special abilities. Xia Yu pointed at the teacher's certificate on Xiamen's chest and said. In fact, Xia Yu would recognize her even without this. The pink dress that is popular among elementary school students, the light leather shoes on her feet, this standard elementary school student dress, and the tone of her voice, Xia Yu certainly knows her. Is that so? Ahu-chan, you don't have to come. It's a member of the discipline committee. He played a joke on me. No, Xiamen-chan, it's not a joke. If you want, you can come to my house anytime. When you get tired, you'd better come. Wait, after struggling for a long time, Xia Yu began to explain the situation to Xiamen. The crime rate has been a bit high recently, which has a very bad impact on the academy city. It even reduced my income by 0.000000000032%. No, it seriously endangers the safety of residents, so I volunteered to just and do night duty. Really? You've worked hard. It's because of people like you and Ahu-chan that we can be protected from criminals. You are really great, Xiamen said admiringly. No, this is what I should do, of course it should be done. As a manor owner and capitalist, isn't it right to protect your wealth? Of course, Xia Yu didn't care about the little money loss. In fact, he was just idle and looking for something to do. Don't think that Xia Yu is very busy as a scientist. In fact, scientific research and even ability training are basically easily handled by computational effort. Xia Yu is actually very idle. However, if we catch some dropouts who have not made too many mistakes, can we give them a chance to repent? Of course, if they repent, it will be a good thing for us. Well, suddenly Xia Yu's eyes became sharp, like a goshawk locking its prey. Xiamen immediately followed Xia Yu's gaze. It was a little girl with a school bag on her back who looked about the same size as Xiamen, body. She looked cute and a little flustered. It is worth noting that there was a wreath, dog head, on her head. Xia Yu went straight to meet her, with steady and fast steps, and a solemn and serious expression. Is there any criminal? Xiamen couldn't help but think. This scene is indeed a bit interesting. Xia Yu slapped the wall of people next to the girl with his right hand, shook his hair and said, "Little sister, do you want to go to your brother's house to play together? If you are tired, hey. That's right, it's me again, you should come over." It seems that he can easily reach a consensus with criminals. Wow, don't cry, I'm a teacher. This guy is not a bad person, he just has some problems, obviously. Xia Yu's behavior scared the girl to tears. Xiaomeng was comforting her. Really, the girl said timidly, and she glanced at Xia Yu, and seemed to be afraid that Xia Yu would bite her, so she quickly retracted her eyes. Of course, why are you going home so late? Let me and this brother take you home together. It's safer this way, it's okay, the teacher is here. As for Xia Yu's behavior just now, it was just a daily illness. Xia Yu was actually a very strange person. He would do his best in the process of moving towards a certain goal, but on weekdays, he was actually a fool. He follows the law of conservation of IQ, dog head, and when he's relaxed, he basically does things without thinking. Chapter 12, Hatsuharu Shikiri. My name is Hatsuharu Shikiri. I am 8 years old, and I am currently in the 3rd grade of elementary school in the Academy City. I live in a temporary school district house allocated by the Academy City. Today, I was late because of something. The road was dark. Although there were street lights, the lonely road was still a little uneasy, so I hurried forward. Suddenly, I saw two people coming from the front. One of them was a very handsome older brother, and the other looked a classmate? That older brother is coming. Wow. So beautiful. Hatsuho Shikari's heart was about to stop. The beautiful boy in front of her completely blocked her short vocabulary, and she couldn't think of any language to describe it. Her heart twitched. I was hit by the wall. I was hit by the wall. Little sister, do you want to go to your brother's house to play together? When you are tired of playing, is he a pervert? He must be a pervert. He is so handsome, but it's a pity that he is a pervert. After being frightened by Xia Yu, Hatsuho Shikari instinctively cried. Then, Hatsuho Shikari was surprised to find that the classmate she thought was actually a teacher. Then, the teacher said, "Why are you going home so late? Let me and this brother take you home. It's safer this way." "It's okay. The teacher is here." Although the teacher exuded an unpleasant smell of cigarettes, she chose to follow the two of them because of her trust in her teacher's certificate and her fear of the dark. The street was quiet and deserted, and the electric lights on the roadside brought light to their progress. Along the way, Yu Yongzio kept chatting with Hatsuho Shikari, and Xia Yu also came to talk from time to time. During the conversation, Hatsuho Shikari did find that Xia Yu was not a change. This point seemed to need to be reserved, but at least he was a good person. However, the peaceful journey was not too long. "Yo, look, a boy with two little girls, oh my. So cute. Do you want to play with Uncle? Uncle will take you to see the goldfish." Several gangsters surrounded Xia Yu and others. They dyed their hair in various colors, their eyes seemed fierce, and their tone was very frivolous. Hatsuho Shikari subconsciously hid behind Xia Yu, not because of anything else, but mainly because of Yu Yongzio's body shape, which really made her instinctively unable to trust him. "Hey. Which school are you from? You are so young and don't learn well. You are idle all day and corrupt the atmosphere," Yu Yongzio scolded with full majesty, but her appearance really made people unable to feel the severity. Yo look, did you see it? This little girl is actually scolding me. Ho ha ho ha, ha ho ha ho ha, ho ha ho ha. Yu Yongzio's words were only exchanged for ridicule. "You should listen to the teacher, go home now, and go to school tomorrow to study hard, so that you can become people who are helpful to society." Yu Yongzio's eyes flashed with excitement. She is the kind of person who likes to educate students very much. When she encounters bad students, she first feels excited. After all, it is the teacher's responsibility to educate bad students to walk on the right path. Hey. Listen, what is she saying? She's telling us to study hard? To be the pillars of society. Hey. Boy, leave all the money you have and these two little girls, and get out. Hey. Today I'll let my uncle teach you a lesson. Xia Yu looked at the three hooligans in front of him calmly. To him, these guys were already in jail. Hey. Boy, didn't you understand? Seeing that Xia Yu didn't react, a hooligan slapped Xia Yu's shoulder with a ferocious look. Squeak! A violent electric spark scared his hand away, and electric currents like silver snakes kept winding and flowing on Xia Yu's body. It's a person with special abilities, be careful. So what if he's a person with special abilities? I'll stab him to death with a knife. A hooligan took out a butterfly knife from his waist and stabbed Xia Yu directly. Intentional injury, attempted rape, gang crime. Well, I'll sentence you to 10 years. Reform yourself in there. Xia Yu's casual voice reached their ears, and the knife-wielding gangster's expression became even more ferocious. Do you look down on us? Let me show you how the white knife goes in and the red knife comes out. The electric current expanded, and the huge amount of calculation drove the electromagnetic force engineering. The electromagnetic force affected the surrounding atoms, forming a repulsive force toward the front, or the attraction force on the enemy. The gangster with the knife was directly bounced away by this force and then pressed to the ground. When the other two saw this scene, they left and fled to the back, but were attracted by the electromagnetic force, forcibly pulled back and pressed to the ground. Well, the calculation is indeed much smoother. This time, less calculation was used to achieve the original effect, which means that directly learning the dolly engineering is useful. I am the discipline committee member. You are arrested. Xia Yu's voice at this moment was like the judgment of God, and the electric light wrapped around his body also reflected his majestic figure. So, cool. Hatsuho Shiki stared at Xia Yu. Xia Yu now looked very handsome to her. Disciplinary committee member? If I become a discipline committee member, can I be so handsome? Can I protect others? Take them away. Xia Yu called the guards and took the 3 people away. This bunch of idiots thought they were the darkness of the Academy City, but in fact, if Atsuho Shiki and Yu Iongziameng were not here, Xia Yu would have let them see the real darkness of the Academy City. Thank you, brother. Thank you, teacher. Can I ask your names? Hatsuho Shiki asked at the door. The teacher's name is Yu Iongziameng. You must go home early in the future. Yes, my name is Xia Yu, and I am the discipline committee member on the night shift. Let's leave our phone number. You can contact me anytime if you need anything in the future. If you want to come to my house, I should have asked them to take you away with them just now. Don't say that. Xiamen, leave my phone number too. If you need anything, you can find me anytime. If you want to come to my house. Chapter 13. A wonderful misunderstanding. Time always passes by inadvertently, and never stops to wait for anyone. It has been about a month since Kaguya Shinomiya and Ai Hayasaka awakened their superpowers. Xia Yu did not look for them except for the regular weekly checkups. According to the weekly checkups, it can be found that Kaguya Shinomiya has a slight improvement every week. If she continues like this, she will be able to grow to level 4 in about 2 years. This speed can be said to be very fast. After all, some people are level 1 or LV0 until they die. Ai Hayasaka's condition is not optimistic. She has been a month, and there is almost no change. For a person who has just awakened superpowers, it is basically a prophecy of being able to find a factory to work. Even in the most optimistic situation, it is good for Ai Hayasaka to grow naturally to level 2. Becoming a person with superpowers gave Ai Hayasaka hope, but her own limits gave her despair. The ups and downs are far more painful than falling from the beginning. I'm sorry to tell you that the most you can do on your own is level 2. You're useless against the Shinomiya group. Even as an auxiliary, you can only be regarded as a vase. However, I'm conducting an experiment on the artificial enhancement of people with special abilities. Regarding this experiment, I can't guarantee your life safety. I won't force you, please think about it. If you have any ideas, you can come to me. Suddenly, Hayasaka Ai remembered the last time Xia Yu said to Hayasaka Ai, I'm going out for a while, Miss Kaguya, where are you going? Hayasaka, just going out for a walk, really, go, Shinomiya Kaguya, in fact, had already guessed what Hayasaka Ai was thinking. She wanted to stop her, but, have I never listened to Hayasaka's thoughts? Did she not say it? Or am I unwilling to listen? This time it's her own choice. Should I stop her? If I stop her now, will she hate me in the future? If I don't stop her, will I hate myself for being silent now in the future? Shinomiya Kaguya's brain was thinking quickly, and she also started to simulate this matter. Because she was not sure whether Xia Yu could succeed, she set the success rate to 50%. After a series of calculations, when she felt that the risk was too great and wanted to persuade Hayasaka Ai, Hayasaka Ai's eyes, in exchange for her silence. It was a firm look. Although it was strange to say, she was aware of it, just like she was determined to resist her future self. Go. The sound seemed to have emptied all of Shinomiya Kaguya's strength, and fear arose in her heart for the first time. She was afraid of losing Hayasaka Ai, the only person who could be said to be her friend. She was afraid Hayasaka Ai would never come back after leaving this door today. However, she had to remain silent at this moment. If she refused and stopped her now, what difference would there be between her and the brother and father she hated the most? Hayasaka Ai nodded and turned to leave the house. You really came? Xia Yu gave Hayasaka Ai the address of his core research institute, Jiu Zhang. The next experiment was also very important to him, so he prepared it here. Well, Hayasaka Ai just nodded and followed Xia Yu into the research institute. Brother, who is this sister? A little peach came out from the side, still wearing a simple research suit, with a big puzzle on her fair face. She had lived in this research institute for a month, and there was no one except Xia Yu and her, and today another person came in, which naturally made the little guy very curious. Little girl? No, an experiment? So small. Seeing Taoli, Ai Hayasaka thought of a lot of things. Part of her sympathy for Taoli turned into disgust for Xia Yu. Shouldn't others hate a person who can use a little girl as an experiment? Go away. Taoli, Go away. Brother has something to do. When you recover, brother will take you to find snacks. Okay, brother, do you want to take Taoli to find snacks? Sure. I haven't seen snacks for a long time. I will definitely take medicine on time. Hearing that she was going to find her good friend Shakura Hamasaki, Taoli was extremely excited, and her small body kept circling around Xia Yu. Be good, stay over there, brother will come out in a while. Oh, after sending Taoli away, Xia Yu continued to take AI Hayasaka forward. Back to the place where they started. Xia Yu's laboratory. The scene in front of her surprised AI Hayasaka speechless. It was a scene that only existed in science fiction novels in the outside world, and she couldn't help but sigh at the advanced technology of the college city. I'll ask you again, are you ready? I can't guarantee that you can survive, Xia Yu said seriously. The experiment he was going to conduct next was whether the AIM force field could play a decisive role in the development of other people's abilities. The specific method was to infuse Xia Yu's computing power into Hayasaka AI's body, enter the brain, resonate with the brain waves, and use Xia Yu's computing power to assist her in her own calculations. If successful, Hayasaka AI's computing power will grow under the stimulation of Xia Yu's computing power, and because she has just experienced a huge amount of computing power, she will not lose control. The risk is also huge. If you are not careful, you will die of brain death. Of course, with Xia Yu's terrifying computing power, the probability of success is as high as 99.9%, but there are risks in experiments. From the normal probability theory, life and death each account for 50%. I'm already here, Hayasaka AI simply said. Okay, then you cooperate with me and let me enter your body. Hayasaka AI was stunned, then a trace of disgust flashed in her eyes, and she thought to herself, is this the price? A blush appeared on her cheeks, and her expression was shy, but her movements did not stop. With the sound of unbuttoning, the shirt was opened. Ah! What blinded my eyes, such white clothes. Please be gentle. After Xia Yu admired it fiercely, Xia Yu said, you misunderstood, huh? The girl was confused. Chapter 14 Ability Development Assistance Experiment. You misunderstood. With Xia Yu's light words, Hayasaka AI's cheeks turned red. She instantly understood the point of her misunderstanding and now wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl into. She quickly turned her back and tidied her clothes. Xia Yu could clearly see from behind that her ears were already red, and she seemed to be extremely embarrassed and ashamed. Xia Yu was unusually calm. He had seen everything. If he really hadn't seen it, why not go back and take a closer look? After all, this was his research institute. After a moment, Hayasaka AI turned around. Her face still had an indelible blush. She lowered her head, and seemed embarrassed to see Xia Yu. Papa Xia Yu clapped his palms, and the crystals suspended around him automatically pieced together into a chair and fell behind Hayasaka AI. Please sit down, Xia Yu said very gentlemanly. Well, Hayasaka AI lowered her head and sat on the crystal chair. From time to time, she slightly raised her head to peek at Xia Yu, and once she noticed that Xia Yu was looking at her, she instinctively avoided it. It was really too embarrassing. Don't resist next, or I'll easily make you brain dead. A huge amount of calculations gushed out of Xia Yu's mind, forming an almost materialized AIM diffusion field. The so-called AIM diffusion field refers to the weak power that superpowers release in all directions unconsciously. However, Xia Yu's calculations can artificially control his own AIM force field. The principle of using the AIM force field to awaken superpowers is also related to this. This time, Xia Yu still needs to rely on the power of the AIM force field to carry out the next move. So strong, although the AIM force field cannot be seen, Hayasaka AI's weak AIM force field is affected. The huge AIM force field has condensed to the point where even ordinary superpowers can detect it. Xia Yu's AIM force field is resonating with Hayasaka AI's AIM force field. Otherwise, rash entry will cause her AIM force field to lose its self-identity and lead to her own mental breakdown. However, Xia Yu does not want an empty shell, but to complete a successful experiment, so naturally he will not make trouble. While the two were chatting, Xia Yu's AIM force field finally reached a resonance with Hayasaka AI's AIM force field. This resonance was mainly based on Hayasaka AI's AIM force field. After all, Xia Yu was going to experiment whether he could help her, not to puppet her. At the moment of resonance, The AIM force fields of both parties overlapped directly, and Xia Yu's huge amount of calculations directly poured into her body. Ah! Ow! Pain! Hayasaka AI cried out in pain. She felt her body hurt. Every bone and every nerve was suffering. Access. For a moment, the huge amount of calculations poured in as if it had found a target. The huge amount of calculations wrapped up Hayasaka AI's own calculations and began to calculate. The first step was the ability engineering. At present, Hayasaka AI's body was like a water pipe. The huge amount of calculations was the water pressure, and the ability engineering was the sluice gate. The water pressure almost broke the water pipe, but the sluice gate in front was too small to flow out. Your talent is really poor, I'm really sorry, Hayasaka AI complained weakly. The deduction of the ability engineering was extremely fast. After all, Xia Yu himself had already engraved and recorded an unimaginable number of projects. It was very simple for Xia Yu to further deepen his projects. Xia Yu used it while creating a suitable tool. That was generally equivalent to the engineering quality of level 4, which was equivalent to Xia Yu reclaiming Hayasaka AI's container to level 4. As long as nothing unexpected happened, she could smoothly enter level 4. Engineering and calculations have always been complementary. When the amount of calculation is sufficient, the project will be passively optimized, and if the project is sufficient, the amount of calculation will increase naturally. At the moment when the project was completed, the pain in Hayasaka AI finally disappeared, and she truly felt the benefits of Xia Yu's calculation amount poured into her spirit. For a moment, she felt like a god, with an extremely clear understanding of everything around her, as if she could control everything. Of course, this was just an illusion that Xia Yu's calculation amount was temporarily lent to her. After all, her current amount of calculation has not reached the level. Then, when Xia Yu's calculation amount was taken back from her body, there was an unprecedented sense of emptiness. Then she fell into coma. Sweat had soaked through her clothes, and even slid down the chair. At this moment, Hayasaka AI was overdrawn both mentally and physically, and her body functions naturally chose to protect themselves. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 Fantasy Future. The Scientific Devil. Hayasaka AI woke up from her coma and saw an unfamiliar ceiling. Hey, sister, you're awake, a little cutie suddenly appeared in front of her. I'll go find my brother. Without giving Hayasaka AI time to react, Dolly ran out of the medical room. Hayasaka AI sat up and looked at her hands. Her brain became unusually clear, which was a sign of a significant increase in computing power. Hayasaka AI activated her superpowers as usual, and a ring-shaped hurricane formed in her hands. It can be even bigger. The hurricane ring spread out, and Hayasaka AI's golden hair also drifted with a wind ring. Bigger, the hurricane ring turned into a star, and the actual strong wind formed a spherical barrier with Hayasaka AI as the center. The hurricane and the wall rubbed off a series of sparks, leaving marks on Xia Yu's most high-tech alloy wall. In just a short moment, her brain felt a swelling pain, the computing project came to an abrupt end, and the hurricane ball directly spread out. Fortunately, the items in the medical room are all in the cabinet made of high-density alloy, otherwise the loss today would have reached 7 figures. Your computing power is only level 2, while your engineering is level 4. Use it after your computing power is further improved. Xia Yu appeared at the door of the medical room. He glanced at the scratches on the surrounding walls and even the slightly excessive AIM force field in the air. Xia Yu knew that Hayasaka AI used her ability. Well, thank you, you're welcome. We each get what we need. I also got satisfactory data. Of course, if you really want to thank me, why not come to me? This experiment is actually quite troublesome. The main reason is that there are no active people in the experiment. Although criminals have been used before, those idiots always want to fight against Xia Yu with their own little computing power, and they are always turned into idiots by Xia Yu's instinctive counterattack of billions of computing power. Hayasaka AI can be regarded as helping Xia Yu a lot. With this data, Xia Yu has calculated that there is no danger to all ability users, and there is AIM force field assisted training that can complete regular training. The main thing is to get data that can be publicized. With this data, Xia Yu can clearly and unconditionally assist in the development and training of the ability users in the entire Academy City, and even Tokiwade can probably get involved. The forces behind Tokiwade are not dark. On the contrary, they still attach great importance to students, so they will agree to Xia Yu's intervention. As for Changdian Shangji, he doesn't care about the life and death of students, so it is impossible for Xia Yu to touch him. I would like to take this opportunity to explain why Xia Yu is so keen on collecting data and the benefits. First of all, the reason for collecting data is for the personal reality of those ability users, or the ability engineering calculation method, hereinafter referred to as engineering. One of the benefits of obtaining these engineerings is that Xia Yu's calculation can simulate more abilities and optimize the abilities. Of course, that is only part of it, or even a side benefit. Calculation, only calculation with the basis is called calculation, and calculation without basis is just guessing or repetition. Xia Yu collects those engineerings, and can use the engineering as the basis to perform the second calculation, and then use the results of the second calculation to perform the third calculation, and even use the first, second, and third calculations, infinite nesting dolls. Don't underestimate this nesting doll. Calculation is like this. Infinite calculations will have the initial and subsequent changes. The initial one is the basis that once existed. The increase of this basis also represents more possibilities. Calculation is such a process. It is infinite. No matter what, calculations can be performed, constantly superimposed, and constantly moving forward. However, there is no end. It is just moving forward. There is no end. Every step on this road is a brand new step, always new and will not be repeated. Just like real science, science is just a process of being confirmed, a process of acquiring knowledge. It is not the end, but the end is the knowledge. Under this endless nesting doll, Xia Yu's own calculation amount is constantly being honed. The larger the amount, the more progress, and it is constantly getting closer to the amount, and even one day it will exceed the amount, and even grow normally like geometry, and even like the Ark of Civilization, the calculation amount evolves into an endless world. At that time, Xia Yu may be no different from a real god. At that time, Xia Yu wants to challenge the absolute pinnacle of religion and magic and the legend, the magic god who subverts cause and effect and distorts the world. At that time, Xia Yu might be called the scientific devil. At that time, he must replace magic with science as in human history. However, it is still a long way off now. Xia Yu is only a small level 5, which is only a dream for him now. Such a big goal is naturally put aside for later. After all, new entrepreneurs always move forward from one small goal to another. Now Xia Yu's small goal is to collect more than 80% of the ability users in the college city, including at least 5 level 5. According to calculations, when Xia Yu has so many first levels, he will be able to enter the level 6 realm. Of course, this is just a theory and has not been put into practice yet, but it is normal. After all, isn't science also a process of realizing self-theory and even overthrowing it? Now let's talk about the process. There are about 300,000 ability users in the college city, and the vast majority are level 1 and level 2, accounting for about 260,000 to 270,000. Then LV3 accounts for 30,000 to 40,000, LV4 only has a few thousand, LV5 currently has 2, will be 7 in the future, plus Xia Yu, it will be 8. Xia Yu has collected nearly 100,000 underlying data, 10,000 LV3, about 1,000 LV4, and half of LV5. The ability of Sojiida Junba is currently unknown, even Xia Yu's calculations are difficult to analyze, and he himself does not understand. Xia Yu only got part of it, and the rest is still being learned. Xia Yu even suspects this guy's engineering may be LV6, or even higher. The revolution has not yet succeeded, Xia Yu still needs to work hard. However, when Xia Yu's AIM force field auxiliary training is fully launched, and even all the hospital's nanoparticles are in place, Xia Yu estimates that he is very close to the goal. Chapter 16 Dolly wants to see the sea. Sorry, thank you for your kindness. I still want to follow Miss Kaguya, but if you need me, I'll be there for you. She was rejected, but it was reasonable. After all, they have been friends for so many years, and Xia Yu just met them. You can think about it again. If you are willing to follow me, I will transfer your father to my group and will not restrict your group. You can be said to be free directly. To be honest, at this moment, Hayasaka AI was moved. Why did she awaken her superpowers and even come here to conduct experiments to enhance her superpowers? Isn't it just the word freedom? Now it is almost within reach. Sorry, but she still refused, because she was worried about Shinomiya Kaguya. If Xia Yu said now that he could help her deal with the Shinomiya group, then Hayasaka AI would definitely accept Xia Yu's invitation. But, unfortunately, Hayasaka AI and even Shinomiya Kaguya are not worth it. There is no value for Xia Yu to take time out from the engineering collection plan to fight the Shinomiya group. Now, all the energy of the Zinhuo group must be put on collecting projects for Xia Yu. My invitation is still valid. You can come anytime you want. I have something else to do here. If you want to stay, you can stay, but don't reveal the things here to others, including Miss Shigen. Of course, when Hayasaka AI raised her head, Xia Yu had already left here. Woo, maybe I will regret it in the future. Although Xia Yu still kept the invitation for her to join, how could joining now be the same as joining in the future? Maybe she will regret it in the future. But, at least now, she firmly refused, because she really couldn't let go of that clumsy, pretending to be indifferent, and competitive child. Sister, have you seen the sea? Just as Hayasaka AI smiled bitterly, a soft and cute voice came from the side. Question mark? Your name is Dolly, right? Hayasaka AI looked at Dolly, who was leaning on the edge of the hospital bed with half of her head exposed, with some hesitation. Yes, my name is Dolly. Dolly's face was filled with an innocent smile, and the scene was just like the smile that Hayasaka AI had when she first met Shinomiya Kaguya. But now she no longer smiled. She protected herself with indifference. Sister, have you seen the sea? Can you tell Dolly what the sea looks like? I heard from Xiaokin and Xiaoshi that the sea is so beautiful. Dolly looked at Hayasaka AI expectantly, and her big eyes were full of admiration for the sea. Indeed, the sea is beautiful, the blue sea, and the active dolphins. Hayasaka AI, actually, she had never seen the sea. Although she was in an island country surrounded by the sea, she had never seen the sea with her own eyes because she had been learning etiquette and taking care of Shinomiya Kaguya, and she lived in fear every day. What she was talking about was just the artificially beautified sea in photos and magazines. Wow! Great! Dolly showed an expression of admiration. But under Hayasaka AI's smile, there was a touch of sadness for Dolly. She is just like me, a bird in a cage? Thinking of this, Hayasaka AI's disgust for Xia Yu increased. Well, Taoli needs to take good care of her injuries, and then when she is well, go find Xiaokin, and then go to see the sea together. Taoli opened her arms, just like a bird spreading its wings, with a pure smile on her face, and her words were full of innocence. Will your brother take you there? Although she knew that she should remain silent at this moment, Hayasaka AI still asked this question unconsciously. Of course. Brother promised Taoli that when Taoli is well, he will take Taoli to find Xiaokin, and then see the sea. Brother never lies. Looking at the girl's innocent smile, Hayasaka AI actually felt reluctant for a moment. Could it be, she can't get well? Don't blame Hayasaka AI for being dark in her mind and thinking about Xia Yu like this. It's mainly a misunderstanding caused by the asymmetry of information. Well, Dolly was originally in another place. The people there were very scary and often did very painful things to Dolly. But Dolly had two friends there, Xiaokin and Xiaoshi. Xiaokin was very powerful and could turn Dolly into a dolphin. Wait? Dolly, you mean, you weren't originally from here? Hayasaka AI got to the point. Yes, it turns out that the people there were so scary. Dolly almost died before. It was my brother who saved me. By the way, there was also a doctor with a frog. Hayasaka AI was silent. She realized that her previous misunderstandings and disgust towards Xia Yu had turned into guilt. The guilt for the misunderstanding and Xia Yu's kindness in training her superpowers caused some changes in Hayasaka AI's mood. Sister, when the time comes, let's go to the sea together, okay? Xia, there's no need to call me that, just call me Xia Yu. If you really can't let go, you can call me Doctor, Mister or something like that. Doesn't sound very cool. Doctor, I want to ask about Dolly. Xia Yu looked at Hayasaka AI in surprise, knowing that she probably heard something from Dolly, and then said, Dolly was originally a clone of the talent workshop, with congenital defects, and the purpose of being created was just to study the abilities of her original body and a test subject for a certain plan. When she was abandoned, I took her over, asked the best doctor in the Academy City to save her, and took her in. Is that so? Hayasaka Ai's heart was twitching. She had never expected Ollie's life experience to be so tragic. Looking at her innocent smile, Hayasaka Ai could never have imagined that she had such a past. For this kind of people, in this kind of place, aren't there any security guards to arrest them? Hayasaka Ai's words were met with a slightly mocking look from Xia Yu. Miss Hayasaka Ai, I have to remind you that this is Academy City, not Neon, and certainly not Shenzhou. It's much darker than you think, and no country's law determines that clones are people, not objects. Although I mentioned supplementing the laws on clones and artificial humans at the board meeting, in Academy City, the chairman is the boss, and he won't agree until a certain goal is achieved. Oh, I've said too much? You'd better keep these words in your heart, and be careful. Academy City is very dangerous. If you encounter danger, ask for help from the Discipline Committee. Chapter 17 Transition and Summary. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, more than half a year has passed, and the new year has begun. In the past year, the quantity and quality of people with special abilities in the Academy City have been greatly improved and developed. Even because of Xia Yu's AIM Force Field Auxiliary Training Device, several LV-5s have appeared in advance. Among them, Xia Yu only obtained the current LV-5 ranking 4th, the electric shock user with the title of Super Electromagnetic Gun, Misaka Mikado's Engineering. Others, currently ranked 2nd, the title of Accelerator with the ability of Vector Manipulation LV-5, because of the protection of the Research Institute behind him. Xia Yu only got part of the engineering, and lost part of the AIM Force Field Ability Auxiliary Training Device data. That's right, after all, it is for Xia Yu to collect the public engineering, which is originally for everyone. It is normal for the machine to be taken over and the data to be stolen. The third in the order, known as Unreal Matter, whose ability is also named Unreal Matter, is level 5 Kakujin Titoku. Like the second-ranked Accelerator, the two sides fought and took some advantages from each other, but also lost some less important data. In fact, compared with the second-ranked Vector Manipulation, Xia Yu is more interested in the third-ranked Unreal Matter. It is said that the Unreal Matter produced by Kakujin Titoku is a substance that does not exist in this world. It is not yet discovered or should exist in theory, but a substance that does not really exist, so it does not apply to existing physical laws. Light waves and radio waves that touch unreal matter will be distorted into vectors that cannot exist and act according to their own laws. Xia Yu is very curious, and it is also the ability he wants to get the most. Secondly, the 5th, 6th, and 7th in the order seem to have reached level 5 without using his machine. Although they are a few months slower than before, they have all become the top of the Academy City ability users at the end of the year. In addition to the most important basic data, Xia Yu once again obtained nearly 100,000 various data projects, which can be regarded as a foundation. The only thing missing is the Fengchen Terrace. Xia Yu has even begun to propose a deal with the second-ranked Accelerator and the Research Institute with a Kahara clan background, exchanging the data of auxiliary devices for all the data of Accelerator, Vector Manipulation. And, the third-ranked, the Research Institute with a background of the ANBU, the conditions are the same. The ANBU organization nominally only obeys the arrangements of the Board of Directors, but in fact only listens to the command of the Chairman of the Board of Directors. Xia Yu has no right to order them. As for the two remaining, Xia Yu is already preparing. One will come to the door by himself, and the other is also an ANBU member. Xia Yu can design a trap to take him down. Let's talk about the people around Xia Yu. Dolly's physical recovery is very significant. It won't take long for her to be like a normal person. This also caused the little girl to clamor every day to find Zayakin and some snacks. Shakyu Halmasaki is easy to find. Xia Yu has inadvertently revealed to the talent workshop, which has become a leather theater, that a dying clone came here about a year ago and did not die. He will soon come to the door by himself. It was a bit troublesome for Jinx Kankwa. He was put in prison before, and then was taken away by the Kahara clan. Xia Yu couldn't find him for a while. Hayasaka Ai and Shinomiya Aya advanced to level 4, and entered the Hide-No Inner Court within the scope of the academy to study, and joined the Discipline Committee, becoming the Vice Chairman of the Discipline Committee and the Recorder of the Discipline Committee. By the way, let me explain that Xia Yu's AIM Force Field Ability Auxiliary Training Device is different from what Xia Yu did to Hayasaka Ai before. The device can only assist her in training and hone herself, so that she can reach her own limit as soon as possible. Hayasaka AI's time, raise the limit. The difference is the formation practice and the big boss's initiation. At present, Xia Yu's calculation capacity is nearly 15 times that of the normal level 5. If it is unfolded, it is enough to cover the entire neon and the surrounding sea area, about half of the planet, and it continues to grow continuously, almost to the extent that it will grow outward in all directions every day. The diameter of a school district. As for the biggest core of the entire academy city, Kamijao Tuma, the god of purification and demon slayer, Xia Yu did not directly contact him, but just used his mobile phone and even the electronic devices on his body to lock his position. Now, if he contacts rashly, not only will he not get what he wants, but he will also be made to suffer by the chairman who is falling. The crime rate in the Academy City has also been suppressed by Xia Yu and other members of the Discipline Committee, and it has also attracted many people with special abilities to join. The ability check at the time of employment alone has given Xia Yu a lot of interesting abilities. For example, the Space System Ability Project is extremely rare even in the Academy City. Although it is only level 3, it is very interesting. The scientific statement is first jump out of the three-dimensional thinking, find your own coordinates in the 11th dimension, and then calculate a moving vector. That is, at the moment of using the ability, the consciousness of the self seems to be in a state of separation, using itself as a coordinate to infer the target location, and then after calculation, the body is moved. The person with the LV3 space movement ability, Shiraikirako. He observed the state of his ability and inferred that Shiraikirako could only move within his field of vision. Theoretically, it is for better fixed point coordinate distance and more accurate movement. But in reality, it can be moved at will, but there is a risk of getting stuck in some objects. The effect of spatial movement ability is to open the space to enter, and then come out of the target space. The process of entering is to put an object into a very small tunnel like an atom, and then walk out from the other side to return. Under normal circumstances, the human body is much denser than air, so there is no problem. If it comes out of the wall, the human body will be squeezed by the wall and space, causing injury. That is why Shiraikirako needs to choose to use vision as a coordinate. Of course, that was later Shiraikirako. Now her own ability cannot move herself. Xia Yu does not need coordinates. Although Xia Yu's body still belongs to the human field, his calculation engineering is more stable. He can derive the AIM force field through the calculation amount, and then use the AIM force field to locate, and will not get stuck in the wall. Of course, when Shiraikirako reaches level 5, with her calculation amount, there is basically no possibility of getting stuck in the wall. Chapter 18 Shakurao Misaki arrives. How inside the research institute, Xia Yu looked at the application for exchange in his hand and smiled proudly. This document was sent by Talent Workshop, saying that they wanted a student from their research institute to come and study for 2 days. The student's name was Shakurao Misaki. The newly promoted LV5, 6th in the ranking, psychological mastery Shakurao Misaki, was delivered to Xia Yu's door just as Xia Yu expected. Counting Misaka Mikado's LV5 electromagnetic force engineering, Xia Yu will soon have 2 engineering. The analysis of Soji Itagonha's ability is still not very smooth. Xia Yu doesn't understand what it is, so he can't simulate it. However, it is certain that it is definitely much more powerful than LV5 engineering, at least LV6 level thing. Ding dong, speak of Xiao, Liu Bei will arrive. The firewall has transmitted the image to Xia Yu. Xia Yu has already seen the figure, with honey-colored long hair fluttering in the wind, wearing an elementary school uniform, and a polite and indifferent smile on her beautiful white face, but the slight changes in her facial muscles can show her nervousness and excitement, well, maybe a little bit of fear. High-tech cameras, the accuracy is even more exaggerated than that of astronomical telescopes. Open the door. Xia Yu stood in front of the door with a polite smile on his face, and ordered the door through the firewall in his heart. The mechanical door opened from both sides, and the girl in the image appeared in Xia Yu's eyes. Hello, I am the new level 5 Shakurao Misaki. I followed the arrangement of the institute and came to learn from the seniors. Shakurao Misaki had a perfect smile on her face, her body slightly tilted forward, and bowed about 30 degrees. You didn't act rashly against me? Did you know that I am also a level 5 who is very good at calculations? Xia Yu was actually a little surprised. He thought Shakura Hamasaki would intend to directly control him to achieve his goal, but after thinking about it carefully, it was normal. After all, Xia Yu can be regarded as one of the original level 5, and he deleted calculations. It is normal to have some concerns. However, although there are many inner dramas, Xia Yu did not show them, but cooperated with the performance and said, "Please come in, please come in." In fact, up to now, Shakura Hamasaki has fallen into Xia Yu's hands, but Xia Yu did not want to hurt her, so he planned to obtain data in a semi-cheating way. After all, it would be hard to explain to Dolly if I hurt Shakura Hamasaki, and that noisy little girl would become even more noisy. Xia Yu had always believed that he belonged to the lawful evil camp, that is, a person who maintains order, uses order and achieves his goals by any means. Now he is indeed like that, but he cares a little about the opinions of a few people. It is mainly unnecessary. Shakura Hamasaki's ability can be obtained in a peaceful and perfect way, but it is a little troublesome. There is no need to hurt the noisy little girl's heart because of this. After all, it will be more troublesome if that little girl makes a fuss. Miss Shakura, I wonder what you want to learn this time. It's like this. The Research Institute wants me to use the ability auxiliary training device you invented, and develop my ability for a period of time with you. This is Shakura Hamasaki's sacrifice. Xia Yu's device is definitely problematic, which is something all research institutions know. As for the problem, although they are not very clear, one thing is certain, that is, it will definitely steal information. Generally speaking, information data is very important for both research institutes and ability users. However, for the Research Institute, the greatest importance of data is that it must be owned, not unique. It is best to be unique, but if there is benefit, it doesn't matter if it is sold out. Therefore, they will allow the ability users of their research institute to use Xia Yu's device. Although the data was copied by Xia Yu, the new data brought by the improvement of the ability users is far more important than the copying of the existing data. As for the ability users, they actually don't have the concept of the importance of their own information. Their concept is still in the bank card password and ID number and so on. Because they don't understand the nature of the ability, they don't know that their information has been taken away by Xia Yu or the organization inadvertently. Of course, Shakura Hamasaki is different. First of all, she has mastered an organization through the LV5 psychological control ability. Through this organization, she naturally understands the importance of information data and has a sense of prevention. Therefore, it stands to reason that the organization controlled by Shakura Hamasaki will not sell her information. She is on guard, and it will be more difficult for Xia Yu to start. But she took the initiative to ask to use the device. It's not that she doesn't know the problem of the device, but because it is her sacrifice. Using the exposure of her own information to gain Xia Yu's trust, she could find what she was looking for here, or the person. That's just what I want. Xia Yu narrowed her eyes and naturally agreed with a smile. As the planner, Xia Yu had Shakura Hamasaki completely devoured. Xia Yu could calculate everything she thought of. Since she was so direct, Xia Yu would naturally not be hypocritical. So, here, Xia Yu handed Shakura Hamasaki a card. This is the device. The design inside is very simple. It mainly contains a receiver, which is specially used to receive Xia Yu's AIM force field. This thing can only be used once and will be destroyed after one use. The principle is, the AIM force field released by Xia Yu's firewall presents the form of a diffusion wave, and the receiver collects the AIM force field and stimulates itself, and the receiver will be destroyed in the confrontation between the two sides. The activation of this thing is that the ability user stimulates the card through his own calculation amount, and the card will confront according to your release. Once you stop, it will end. This is for safety. After all, if something goes wrong, it will be difficult to deal with. As for the collection of engineering, it is definitely not something that can be obtained in one go, but don't panic. This thing is much faster and easier than normal training, and the main thing is that it is not expensive. As for the problem of multiple incomplete engineering caused by repeated use, it is not a big deal. After all, what Xia Yu needs is the disassembly of engineering. Usually, it is used for calculation, continuous matching, and filing. In battle, the best of the filing is directly used. For example, Xia Yu's electromagnetic force is a combat calculation engineering based on Misaka Mikado's. And a large number of ordinary electric shock users, and even the essence of other similar ability engineering, are used as auxiliary. because its main function is to improve ability and it is destroyed after one use. Some people call it an experience card. Chapter 19. The second level 5 project is completed. Shakura Hamasaki panted softly. Sweat continued to flow down her face, and her clothes were soaked with sweat. She actually disdained this so-called ability auxiliary training device at first, and even felt that she could use it without being exploited. After all, she was also a LV5 superpower who was very good at calculating. Even before she used it, she even thought about whether to put down the water and deliberately let the card steal her information. But when she activated the card, she knew she was wrong. The AIM force field formed by the terrifying amount of calculation was like a landslide. The body's self-protection power instinct immediately reacted, and the calculation was done with all its strength. Even so, Shakura Hamasaki still felt like a lonely tree facing an avalanche, helpless and terrified. However, at the moment of contact, most of the calculation disappeared directly, and the remaining calculation was just at a level that could give her pressure. That is, 1.8 times the normal LV5 stage. This made her feel pleasantly surprised that she had survived a catastrophe. She also wondered about Xia Yu, the source of this pressure. Is this his own calculation? Impossible. Even the tree diagram cannot do such a huge amount, and the delicate recycling, the rumor that the number 1 is not good at fighting, but extremely beneficial to scientific research is true. This small card is actually connected to a supercomputer that is even more exaggerated than the tree diagram. This was what Shakura Hamasaki thought after the training was completed. Because during the training, she could not be distracted at all. The pressure of the AIM force field was always maintained at a level that made her have to concentrate. She didn't know anything else, but Shakura Hamasaki knew that her limit data had been obtained by the other party. In fact, Xia Yu got more than she thought. At the moment of the initial pressure, Shakura Hamasaki instinctively performed calculations, which exposed her engineering. Of course, the card was not able to directly record this and send it back. The main reason was that Xia Yu was standing nearby. At the moment when Shakura Hamasaki was exposed, he had already completed the simulation through his own computational capacity. 2 of the 5 originally planned LV5s had already been achieved. Another big step towards the goal. How do you feel? Xia Yu remained calm. This LV5 psychological control project was within his plan and an expected gain. He was just naturally happy and didn't lose his composure. Shakura Hamasaki let out a long sigh, a wry smile on her haggard face, and said weakly, "It doesn't feel very good. I'm mentally exhausted and my whole body is sticky. It's a really bad experience." Well, everyone said so at the beginning, but it soon became really good, Xia Yu replied with a smile. Regarding the comments on the use of the AIM force field assisted training device card on the internet, everyone felt very uncomfortable at first, but soon became really good. After all, although it is uncomfortable, it is a real improvement in one's own superpowers. For people in the Academy City, nothing is more joyful than improving their abilities. Can I use the bathroom? I hope I can wash myself. Shakura Hamasaki still smiled bitterly. Xia Yu was right. As a level 5 who deleted calculations, she could clearly feel her calculations growing. Of course. Go out and turn right to the 3rd room, okay? Shakura Hamasaki moved down from the bed as usual. The moment her feet touched the ground, Shakura Hamasaki's expression immediately became stunned, and she felt powerless all over. Her physical fitness was extremely poor, and the sweat that had just flowed out made her body too empty, causing her body to be basically at her disposal at this moment. Instinctively, in order to protect herself, Shakura Hamasaki used psychological control on Xia Yu to manipulate Xia Yu to catch her. The remaining calculations of Shakura Hamasaki hit the continent transformed by Xia Yu's calculations like a wave, hitting a rock with an egg, meaningless. However, Xia Yu still moved, moving quickly with agile movements, wrapping his right arm around Shakura Hamasaki's slender waist, and his left hand passed under his knees to catch her in a princess hug. The pain that Shakura Hamasaki was waiting for did not come. The touch of her waist and knees made her guess what was happening at the moment. The girl's eyelashes trembled slightly, and a blush appeared on her face. The blush and the fair skin set off each other, making her even more charming. The handsome boy hugged the lovely girl, and the scene was just like the scene in the comics. Shakura Hamasaki opened her eyes, and the pair of starry eyes that looked like the ones in the girl's comics added a sense of fantasy to the moment. "Are you okay? It's okay." Boom boom boom, the sound of the heartbeat kept appearing in Shakura Hamasaki's ears. What does this feel like? The handsome boy, who had a beauty that should not exist in the human world, looked at her gently. The heart kept beating faster and faster, and the girl's hormones kept secreting. The two of them just looked at each other, and the atmosphere here was already dreamy. What does this feel like? Let me tell you, it is the victory of appearance. If Xia Yu, who is holding Shakura Hamasaki at this moment, is not a handsome boy, but an ordinary-looking boy, then Shakura Hamasaki will definitely not stay here. Is it because of excessive sweat secretion that leads to dehydration? Well, your physical fitness is also very delicate. You can't take care of your body like this. Xia Yu analyzed it very seriously. He cares about me? Is he interested in me? What if he confesses to me later? No, I am here to investigate and find Dolly, and he is a researcher. Although not all researchers are bad people, they are definitely not good people. Let's finish the investigation first. Well, will you agree to it when the time comes? What's wrong with her? Xia Yu looked at Shakura Hamasaki, whose expression kept changing in his arms, and was a little confused, but he didn't care much. Just put her on the bed. Don't move around, have a good rest. I'll get you some glucose water. By the way, let Dolly know. Xia Yu didn't say the rest of the words. Just in time Dolly had almost replied, and now the time is ripe, it's time for them to meet. Shakura Hamasaki was still in a state of fantasy. After a moment. Wow. Shiki, long time no see. With the sound of a door opening, Shakura Hamasaki heard the voice that she had only heard in her dreams in the past year. Momo. Shakura Hamasaki's voice was trembling. She was so familiar with that face and that voice. She had heard this voice countless times, in her dreams, and recalled her smiling face countless times. Momo. Tears unconsciously fell from the corners of her eyes, and Shakura Hamasaki was about to go over regardless of her still weak body. Her body fell heavily to the ground, but she didn't care, and continued to crawl towards Momo. Momo saw Shakura Hamasaki fall to the ground, and hurried forward to support her. Momo. Shakura Hamasaki hugged Momo's body, wrapped her arms tightly around her, and kept repeating her name. She was really scared now. She was afraid that this was just a dream. She didn't want to let go for a moment, for fear that if she did, Dolly would disappear from her side. If her world is a dream, then I hope I will never wake up again. Small, stop crying, Dolly will show you a show. Look, Dolly snapped her fingers lightly, and a spark flashed. Under Xia Yu's ability training and development, Dolly has become a level 3, and is likely to become a level 4. Dolly smiled foolishly. For her, it was just a few months of recuperation, but for Shakura Hamasaki, every day without her seemed like a year. As for Xia Yu, of course he knew the situation here. He was very tactful to leave the place to them, and he went to study new abilities. Shakura Hamasaki's psychological mastery. The ability of psychological mastery includes but is not limited to reading all memories, talking to distant objects, eliminating thoughts, amplifying will, reproducing thoughts, emotional transplantation, etc. Basically, it takes care of all mental phenomena. And its principle is to manipulate water with the help of its own brain waves to cause various phenomena. It mainly controls the secretion of substances in the brain of the target person, as well as the proportion of fluids such as blood and cerebrospinal fluid, in the form of brain waves. The amount of calculation is actually closely related to brain waves to some extent, so people with strong calculations will have more advantages in using this ability. For example, Shakura Hamasaki's own calculation amount is not enough to control the complete psychological mastery ability, so she deleted the formula for it, and usually used it to hint herself by pressing the remote control to perform refined abilities, which she called self-rules. But Xia Yu doesn't need it at all. Xia Yu's calculation amount is more than 10 times that of Shakura Hamasaki. For him, this ability will be like an employee under the boss, who can be manipulated at will. However, to be honest, Shakura Hamasaki's ability is really powerful, and the complexity coefficient of its engineering is also a little higher than that of Misaka Mikado, but unfortunately it is almost completely defeated by the electric shock ability. And this ability can be said to be the greatest trampling on human beings. The mind is changed, the memory is replaced, and the personality is distorted. This ability is simply a trampling on the freedom and dignity of human individuals, and it is the kind of bottom line. This ability is even more terrifying when it falls into Xia Yu's hands. To put it bluntly, with Xia Yu's computing power, He can turn the entire Tokiwade into his kill at the same time. In short, if Xia Yu uses this ability to do whatever he wants, I'm afraid that in this Academy City, only the chairman, the upside-down man, can deal with him. Chapter 20 Kato Megumi. 2 days have passed since Shakyou Halmasaki fell into the trap. During these 2 days, Shakyou Halmasaki also realized that she was being plotted against, so she maintained a tsundere attitude towards Xia Yu. Of course, she was just a tsundere who felt embarrassed because she was being plotted against so badly. In her heart, she was very grateful to Xia Yu, even to the point of gratitude. For her, compared to Dolly, the so-called data of herself was not important at all. So she was very grateful to Xia Yu for saving her friend's life and allowing her to see Dolly. Of course, the girl's modesty did not allow her to beg down to the person who plotted against her. Xia Yu also had no time to pay attention to Shakyou Halmasaki, who was in its tsundere state. He was patrolling the streets as usual, or having fun. Speaking of which, Xia Yu also had to thank Shakyou Halmasaki. If it weren't for her helping to take care of the children, Xia Yu wouldn't be so free. Xia Yu's patrol was not just for fun, but also for simulating calculations by observing the flow of people and their expressions. That is to add some chips to the calculation. These are insignificant chips, but it is better to have them than not. The huge amount of calculations formed a materialized AIM force field. Under Xia Yu's intentional control, the AIM force field was hidden. In an instant, every person, every change, and every possibility on the street appeared in Xia Yu's calculation. In the calculation, it seemed that hundreds and thousands of parallel streets appeared in an instant, evolving countless stories. And in the silent calculation, Xia Yu's calculation amount was slowly growing, about 1 level 1 per second. Wait, something seems wrong. Xia Yu stopped and felt that there seemed to be a problem in his calculation. This is a very strange thing. Xia Yu's calculations have never had any problems, because calculations are just processes. Logically, there should be no so-called problems. Either the calculation itself is wrong, or the results are chaotic, but this is still a problem between calculations. That is to say, among these thousands of virtual parallels, there is a certain particle that makes them unable to calculate correctly. And this particle. Xia Yu turned around, and what caught his eyes was a white round hat, a pretty face, a fitted dress, and a good figure. She was a very beautiful girl, a girl who should have attracted everyone's attention. But at this moment, Xia Yu was the only one who saw her. It wasn't that there was something wrong with the calculation, because every virtual parallel world in Xia Yu's calculation had this figure. It was Xia Yu who had a problem. After all, it was not a calculation directly using the firewall. Xia Yu's emotions and cognition instinctively ignored her. If it weren't for the calculation, Xia Yu would not have recognized her at all. It's a superpower. In the Academy City, this is the biggest possibility. Stop, Mr. Discipline Committee member? What's the matter? On the street, she was the only one who looked over. At the moment Xia Yu shouted, the huge amount of calculations exerted psychological control on all the hundreds of people on the street. Xia Yu simply modified their subconscious, changed Xia Yu's voice to normal birds, fish, insects, cars and other instinctive filters, and left a secret door, which would naturally recover after 10 minutes. Hello. Please show me your student's ID. Hey, here, Fingzizuki Academy, 3rd grade, student name. Kato Megumi. So it's her. Xia Yu's mind instinctively floated through such words, but it was only a flash. Kato Megumi is the heroine of the anime called The Passerby Heroine that Xia Yu had seen in his previous life. Her characteristic is that her presence is weak. Xia Yu has such an exaggerated amount of calculation, so naturally he has a photographic memory. He instantly thought of this person based on the characteristics. However, the original impression of the girl was instantly thrown behind his mind. Xia Yu had to understand it again. Scientists are people who explore cognition. If they have preconceived ideas, it would be too unprofessional. What's the matter, Mr. Discipline Committee member? Nothing. Is your ability to change other people's cognition? Or can you hide information? Xia Yu could feel the AIM force field unconsciously floating out of Kato Megumi's body, and he could conclude that Kato Megumi was a person with abilities. I call it aura shielding. The effect is that it can make my presence extremely thin. The level was LV1 before. Now, no one has tested it for me. Kato Megumi showed a slightly distressed expression on her face. Xia Yu also roughly understood that it should be that Kato Megumi's superpower engineering is relatively strong, and she can control the amount of calculations that she can control, resulting in passive or shielding, which causes others to ignore her, and then no one tests her superpowers. Hayasaka, help me find a person named Kato Megumi, currently studying in the 3rd grade of Fengzizuki Academy. Xia Yu instructed Hayasaka AI, who was far away at the discipline committee headquarters, through the microphone. Okay, Hayasaka AI used Xia Yu's account and immediately checked Fengzizuki Academy, and found the target Xia Yu was looking for. Kato Megumi, LV1 ability user, 3rd grade of junior high school. Sure enough, Xia Yu's conjecture was further improved. Kato Megumi's level 1 should be the level measured at the beginning. Later, as her ability improved, people could not see her anymore, and her academic record was copied directly from before. You are lucky, Xia Yu smiled slightly and said to Kato Megumi very seriously. To be honest, Kato Megumi is really lucky. If it weren't for this ability that kept her from being discovered, she would definitely be taken away by those scientists for research. However, Kato Megumi didn't quite understand. Of course, it didn't matter. She just wanted to ask, excuse me, can I leave? No, you must follow me to check your superpower level next. Why? I don't want to go. After the upgrade, the monthly subsidy will also increase. According to my observation, you are at least level 4. Level 1 only has 4,000, about 1,000 RMB, per month, and level 4 has 40,000. Although I am tempted, I really don't want to go with such a suspicious guy like you, Kato Megumi questioned Xia Yu in an unusually calm tone. After all, it was really suspicious to suddenly stop her on the street, interrogate her, and take her for examination. How? You have to go today. Your ability is too dangerous. If you commit a crime, it will be difficult for us to catch you, so we have to make your file consistent with your actual ability. It's not because I will commit a crime, but because I can commit a crime. Kato Megumi's expression was filled with distress. Kato Megumi didn't want to go because Xia Yu was suspicious, and according to her mood, her ability engineering was instinctively activated. Xia Yu also noticed it, and the AIM force field was fully suppressed. At this moment, Kato Megumi was directly suppressed back to level 1. Please recommend. Please collect. Chapter 21 at Inoyako. Please come with me, Miss Kato Megumi. Xia Yu smiled calmly, with a light in his eyes. It was the calmness of winning, the calmness of being sure of winning. If I do this, it must be very cool. Kato Megumi couldn't help thinking so, but unfortunately, she was the one who was sure of winning. Although she couldn't control her ability, she could also feel that her own ability was completely suppressed. It's not about whether I want to or not, it's just because I can do it. At this moment, Kato Megumi also had such doubts. Xia Yu on the opposite side was obviously a very powerful ability user. If she followed Xia Yu, what would Xia Yu do to her? Although she felt that she was not good-looking, due to the misconception caused by the aura shielding in long-term alone, she still understood that girls must protect themselves when they go out, boys are the same. It's a very interesting ability, which can actually play a little role for me. It's very interesting. Xia Yu was not kind. If he was kind, he would not show such an expression of victory in hand. Although Kato Wei felt that she had no room to maneuver, she still wanted to struggle. Don't worry, I won't do anything to you. If I want to do something to you, I can do it here, this is the truth. If Xia Yu really wants to do something to Kato Wei feels that there is no room for resistance. That's it, an unexpected voice came. A petite and lovely girl was walking towards this side on the zebra crossing. Her dignified and lovely face was full of unshakable integrity. She had a serious expression and her eyes were fixed on Xia Yu. The bright sunshine shone on her body, making her look like an angel who saved the world. At least, that was the case for Kato Wei. The girl came in front of Xia Yu. She was only 1.5 meters tall and looked up at Xia Yu without showing any weakness. Although it seemed a little funny, the girl's momentum was indeed not weak. Xia Yu observed carefully. The girl had long chestnut hair, and her fluffy long hair was tied at both ends with 2 hairbands and hung on her shoulders. The pretty and lovely face is full of seriousness, but there is no sense of severity, which adds 2 points of contrast. It is worth noting that the disciplinary committee member medal on the girl's right shoulder and the hide-no and skull uniform on her body. I am the disciplinary committee member, Iino Maiko. What are you doing? Miko stared at Xia Yu and asked without showing any weakness. Ability user, electric shock user. Xia Yu felt the AIM force field around Miko, but it was not as strong as Kato Wei, and it should be a level 3 ability user. This also explains why Xia Yu's psychological control field did not confuse her. The AIM force field of the same ability user will also have similarities, and Xia Yu is the most familiar with the AIM force field of the electric shock system. Although it is only a level 3 electric shock user, it is not something that Xia Yu's suggestion level barrier can affect. If Xia Yu is allowed to act against her, there are 2 points. It can be considered as a concern. First, it may make Kato Wei more worried, and even convinced that Xia Yu is a bad guy. Second, it is difficult to control the electric shock user with psychological control. If Xia Yu forcibly overwhelms her with calculations, it is easy to hurt her. After all, she is a discipline committee member and is considered one of us. Hey, I am a discipline committee member. I am here to do serious things. In fact, if you think about it carefully, Xia Yu is not a bad person. Just tell the truth directly. If it doesn't work, can't you just choose power? Where are you from? I haven't seen you here. The rules don't allow over-the-line enforcement, or, are you pretending? At the end of the conversation, Miko narrowed her eyes, and electric currents like snakes appeared on her body. Is he pretending? Kato Wei was startled, and she looked at Xia Yu with more alert eyes, and secretly thanked herself for not following him directly. Otherwise, some limited edition images appeared in her mind. I am the discipline committee member of the headquarters inspection, and I have the right to inspect in various regions. This is my identity code, please scan it. Xia Yu pulled down his armband, and there was another QR code inside. The Academy City is a place full of technology, and it has long entered the information age. The information of the discipline committee members is all in the code. Miko took out her mobile phone very seriously and scanned the code. Then Xia Yu's photo and information appeared. Committee. Chairman. Miko looked at the information and shouted in surprise. Chairman? An official. Due to the bad impression of officials in TV dramas, Kato Megumi had a new limited picture in her mind. Even if you are the chairman, you must explain your behavior just now. I heard that this classmate said she didn't want to go with you, and the chairman threatened her. Yes, that's right, that's it. Kato Megumi secretly cheered Miko in her heart. And to be honest, she also admired Miko a little. Judging from her performance just now, Xia Yu should be Miko's boss, and he is still the kind of boss, but she did not retreat or fear at this moment. Very good, you have the courage to question your superior. Academy City is so harmonious because of discipline committee members like you. I am very pleased. In order to protect the safety of residents, anyone who may pose a threat to residents, regardless of their identity, should be questioned and even stopped in this way. No. Miko scratched her head a little embarrassedly, and her originally serious attitude became cute. Question mark? Where is your courage just now? Don't be so angry when you are praised, Chairman. What's going on? Miko asked seriously. She is not the kind of person who can ignore things that may cause danger when she is praised. It's like this. I see. Sorry to bother you. Hey. Kato Megumi was no longer able to complain. What's wrong with this discipline committee member? How can she trust others so easily? Miss Miko, do you want to come with us? No, I still have to patrol the streets. Kato Megumi was too tired to complain. She thought it was best if Miko didn't come, otherwise it might be a limited blockbuster of discipline committee chief ex-discipline committee member ex-prisoner. Wait. Miko, what happened? At this moment, another person came. Please recommend. Please collect. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Shirai Kurako. Yako, what's going on? With her long black hair fluttering in the wind, a girl wearing glasses was walking towards this side. Psychic ability user, level 4, Academy City. There are so many talents here. In addition to the electric shock type, Xia Yu knew the most about the psychic type, and the girl in front of him wearing glasses, who was unexpectedly full of intellectual and wise temperament, exuded an AIM force field of the psychic type. Defo, it's like this. Well, Chairman, Hello. What you said is indeed reasonable. This student Kato Megumi did miss some information. It is also the responsibility of every citizen of Academy City to complete the information. But in order to reassure the student, please ask Kyako and I to assist together. Defo Zyabo is the name of the girl with eyes. Her words are very level. She did not use false charges to make Kato Megumi cooperate, and she also intervened in the matter on the grounds of assistance. Okay, Kato Megumi was also a little relieved. Although Iinomiko looked like the kind of person who might be sold for money, Defo Zyabo did give people a reliable sense of security. Well, across the street, not too far away, there is a discipline committee branch. Go wherever there is a capability testing device purchased from Xinhuo Group. As soon as Defo Zyabo opened his mouth, he took the initiative and asked to go to the nearest discipline committee branch on the grounds that Xia Yu said it's just to test the capability. Okay, Xia Yu smiled. It didn't matter. Although he originally wanted to take Kato Megumi to the nearest research institute of Xinhuo Group, it was actually the same, not much different. The simulation of psychological manipulation capability was over, but the huge AIM force field was still used to suppress and interfere with Kato Megumi's breath shield, so as not to slip away accidentally. Defo Zyabo keenly felt the materialized AIM force field on Xia Yu's body through her ability, mental touch, and her expression as she walked in front couldn't help but reveal a solemn feeling. She didn't completely believe Xia Yu, even though Xia Yu was the head of the discipline committee. However, feeling Xia Yu's huge AIM force field, she knew that if she really took action, the three of them might be killed instantly. After all, she is not a person with the ability to fight, and Iinomiko is only level 3 at present. As for Kato Megumi, it is estimated that she will not exceed level 4. It has been said before that she is not a person with the ability to fight. If Xia Yu checks and wants to take Kato Megumi to another place, she will choose to give up Kato Megumi without hesitation, take Iinomiko away, and conceal it. She is different from Iinomiko. She is not a stubborn and upright person. She only cares about herself, her friends, and her family. As the head of the discipline committee, Xia Yu has power first, and then this hidden pressure is powerful. She is not an opponent, so she is naturally very tactful. Because, anyway, what she does is meaningless, and she is vulnerable to Xia Yu. However, the current situation is the best. Going to the discipline committee branch can also prove that the head of the discipline committee should not be a bad person. Otherwise, she would be worried about working under such a person. On the way to the branch, about 3 kilometers away, Xia Yu suddenly stopped and his face became ugly. What's wrong? Defo Zyabo asked in confusion, and at the same time, he became nervous, worried that Xia Yu had changed his mind. Iinomiko also tilted her head and looked at Xia Yu, like a hamster secretly looking at people. Very cute. What's wrong? Mr. Discipline Committee Chairman, Kato Wei was a little worried. The working hours of this post office bank are 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., but it's still 3 o'clock now, and the door is locked. Xia Yu pointed to a post office bank across the street, which had been closed with iron curtains, and said with an unusual expression. Question mark? You really know it? Maybe you left work early today for something? Or organized a team building or something? Iinomiko asked in confusion. No, there is a problem. Defo Zyabo also felt something was wrong. I opened this bank, and I didn't receive any application for early closing or solidarity today. Xia Yu's face was not good, and the Perspective Ability project was instantly launched, and the scene behind the iron curtain appeared in his eyes. It's all because of me. It's all because of my rash behavior that I got Tetsuharu and Gufa-senpai into trouble, but, at this moment, the girl named Shirai Kurako was thinking. Today is the 3rd day of Shirai Kurako and Tetsuharu Shiki's discipline committee internship. In this bank, they encountered a gun robber. When the robber was in action, Shirai Kurako immediately took action to defeat him. But, something unexpected happened. The robber was not 1, but 2. The second robber was extremely difficult to deal with. He also took Tetsuharu Shiki as a hostage. He was also a capable person. Gufa-senpai, who led the team, was injured and fell to the ground in order to protect Shirai Kurako. Even Kurako himself had been defeated. Recklessness always has a price, and the price is often not just borne by oneself. Shirai Kurako has deeply understood this truth. It was she who harmed the two. She knew that things had come to this point and she had an unshirkable responsibility, but she still had to do the last bit. Shirai Kurako crawled towards Hatsuharu Shiki, and the robber sneered and stepped on one of her hands. Hatsuharu Shikari kept begging the robbers, but the weak's pleading would not make the evil have the slightest mercy. Shirai Kurako kept moving forward, even though she was constantly kicked in the stomach and stepped on the arms by the robbers. Even though she was crawling on the ground in a miserable state. Finally, Shirai Kurako grabbed Hatsuharu Shikari's ankle. "I will definitely save you." At this moment, Hatsuharu Shikari, who was originally held hostage, disappeared in an instant, just like that, disappearing from the hands of the robbers. What? The robbers were only surprised for a moment, and then they knew. This is the Academy City. He is a person with special abilities, and others can be too. Space movement. Hatsuharu Shikari appeared outside. After she got through the moment of instinctive confusion due to the change in environment, she figured it out. "Shirai, are you in there? Why did you move only me out?" "Unfortunately, I can't move myself now." Shirai Kurako smiled bitterly, and then showed a determined look. It's not over yet. She wants to make up for her mistakes. She wants the criminals to be brought to justice. Please recommend. Please collect. Chapter 23 Anger. Please help. The discipline committee member was attacked by the gangsters. Please help. Hatsuharu Shiki shouted at the door of the bank. At this moment, she felt her powerlessness. She was just a LV1 with weak abilities and no fighting ability. Even boys of the same age could beat her, not to mention that the gangster was an adult with abilities. She had no choice but to ask for help from the people around her. Huh? Really? Xia Yu suddenly laughed. Although it was a laugh, it was a bit chilling. Defo Xiaobo looked at Xia Yu with some horror. The AIM force field that was originally as calm and stable as the surface of a lake and enveloped and suppressed Kato Megumi was no longer suppressing her, but was unscrupulously unfolding. Xia Yu's AIM force field at this moment was like the ocean on a stormy night, with strong winds sweeping, thunder roaring, and the AIM force field rolling inward, forming huge waves. This was just the amount that Xia Yu could freely control on weekdays. It was equivalent to 2 LV5. A girl with chestnut short hair and a melon pendant on her backpack also looked at Xia Yu. Xia Yu had already noticed her. The first level 5 project that Xia Yu collected was Super Electromagnetic Gun Misaka Mikado. However, Xia Yu had no time to care about her now. Misaka Mikado looked at Xia Yu with some suspicion. The air was constantly enveloping Xia Yu. Although she could not see the AIM force field, the electromagnetic force made her feel something. Xia Yu was very angry, of course, because the robber was not only robbing Xia Yu's bank, but also beating Xia Yu's juniors. A pen flew out from inside Xia Yu's clothes. It looked very ordinary, just like an ordinary fountain pen, if it could not fly. Hush! Xia Yu whistled lightly. Swoosh! The tip of the fountain pen shot at a 1 centimeter diameter spear laser. This was the model designed by Xia Yu for the laser. The spear laser was a military lethal laser. The radiation distance can be adjusted by energy supply. At this moment, it was about 20 meters. Xia Yu directly drew a circle on the door of the bank, and a gap was directly opened. "I will never go along with someone like you," Shirai Kurako's voice came from inside. "You, huh?" The robber saw the door next to him being cut open. Although this was not good for him at all, because he could escape, the person who cut the door open at this moment was definitely not his teammate. Very good, bastard. Not only did you dare to rob my bank, but you also dared to beat my juniors. You don't want to live." The AIM force field formed a substantial impact. At this moment, the robber seemed to see a sea of blood rolling towards him. Illusion? It's useless. Go to hell. This is my absolute constant speed. As long as the items are not destroyed or I don't stop my ability, I will keep moving in that direction. The AIM force field has no substantial killing power. It can only affect the AIM force field of other people, or their spirit. Of course, if Xia Yu releases all the AIM force fields, then he can directly turn the guy in front of him into a madman. The AIM force field can interfere with the AIM force field of the ability user, causing the ability user to be unable to use his ability. However, Xia Yu did not do so this time, but let him use his ability. Xia Yu wanted to crush his delusion head-on. The robber threw out a handful of steel balls, each of which flew towards Xia Yu at a speed of 127 meters per second. At force field shield, the actual energy barrier covered Xia Yu's whole body, and the steel balls were smashed into pieces at the moment of contact. Xia Yu is a scientist, so it is reasonable for him to have a laser pen that can penetrate up to 50 meters and a net force field shield that can defend against missiles. The rest of the strange and safe props such as space movement ring, mental shielding headphones, micro-electromagnetic gun, high-voltage flame lighter, small turret robot are all very reasonable. Computing ability and huge computing capacity, in addition to simulating himself to become a multi-ability person, also bring Xia Yu the power of technology. It is no exaggeration to say that even if Xia Yu cannot simulate other superpowers, relying on technology alone, he is enough to sit firmly on the throne of the first place. You can run. I allow you to run 49 meters. The speed of light is nearly 300 million meters per second, and the laser pen can be in place within 1 millisecond. The most trusted power was broken. No matter who it was, they would feel helpless, and the robbers instinctively retreated to the back. Xia Yu smiled and took out a glove from his arms and put it on. Psychotactile gloves. It can increase the psychotactile sense of the person being touched, which means hitting people will hurt more. About 10 times. A passing railgun shrugged, took back the coin and left here. Well. Shiraikurako, right. Good job. I have called an ambulance and a doctor. You wait a moment, they should be here in 5 minutes. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. You are, Xia Yu Sr. Hatsuharu Shikari hugged Xia Yu's waist, fear surged in her heart, and she burst into tears. Hey. Hatsuharu. Be good, it's okay, Xia Yu. Shiraikurako knew that the only 8 level 5s in the Academy City were at the top of the entire Academy City's ability users, the top among them. Among the 8 names, the only 2 characters, the first place, eternal variable Xia Yu. Hey. Can I run away? Kato Megumi squatted on the side of the road, with one hand supporting her face, looking at Xia Yu who was tightly hugged by Hatsuharu Shikari and couldn't get away. I advise you not to. Daibatsu Zyabo was staring at Kato Megumi. She didn't dare to move her eyes away. She had a hunch that once she moved away, she would not be able to find him. Well, this is how we should be the chairman of the discipline committee, and Iino Maiko looked at Xia Yu with some longing for Xia Yu's strength and justice. The plot of the hero saving the little lolly passed quickly, and Shiraikurako and Hatsuharu Shikari accompanied Gufa on the ambulance to the hospital. And Xia Yu continued to take Kato Megumi to the discipline committee branch. It was no longer an escort, because Kato Megumi had no intention of running away. Chapter 24 The Righteous Man. Thank you for your cooperation, Kato-san. As an apology for your previous impoliteness, here's my contact information. You can contact me anytime if you need anything. This attitude doesn't look like an apology. Kato Wei answered the phone helplessly and then saved the phone. Xia Yu first forced her phone number and then called her. Where is Kato-san going? Do you need me to be your flower protector? No, Mr. Chairman, you are so idle. Kato Wei crawled under Xia Yu's arm with a helpless look on her face. In fact, considering her height, she just lowered her arm. Hey. Being idle is a bit too much? I have been protecting the safety of the Academy City all the time. If you have time to say such things, why not learn from this person? Kato Wei turned on her mobile phone and opened the forum. The first one was the 10 incredible urban legends of the Academy City. The third legend. The Dark Knight hero Justice who protects the safety of the Academy City at night. Hundreds of words of messages and comments are omitted here. Hey. Who gave this nickname Justice Man? It's so ugly, Xia Yu complained in dissatisfaction. Mr. Idle Chairman's focus is weird. I told you to pay attention to the hero who protects the safety of the Academy City, but you actually pay attention to the nickname. Kato Wei's face was extremely helpless. She shook her head, as if she had given up on treating Xia Yu. Facing Kato Wei's questioning, Xia Yu seemed to smile sarcastically and said, there are no heroes without reasons in this world. This tall, handsome, blabla, 800 words of praise omitted, hero of the night must have a goal and reason. Tisk. Mr. Idle Chairman is just jealous of his fame. What other reasons can there be? He is so idle. What you said is true. That's right. This Justice Man is Xia Yu, and the reason is really because he is too idle, but being too idle is only one of the reasons. The second reason is to maintain his own industry and save fallen girls. Okay, Mr. Idle Chairman, don't learn from him. It seems that you can easily reach a consensus with gangsters. It seems so. That's right. Kato Wei was right again. Xia Yu had already reached a consensus with those incompetent armed groups. As long as they behaved well and didn't go too far, they wouldn't be wiped out by the sweep. Okay, Mr. Idle Chairman, I'll leave first. Remember to give me this month's subsidy. Kato Wei saw that Xia Yu was speechless because of what she said. For the first time, she had the upper hand, and a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. That's not our responsibility. It's the work of the finance department, and they won't make up for it. At most, they will make up for it next month. Communicating with a cute girl is always pleasant, but the pleasant time is always limited. Xia Yu will go to deal with things next. One day later, the second school district, the discipline committee headquarters. Xia Yu and Shinomiya are heading towards the meeting room to prepare for an emergency meeting. Look! It's Chairman Xia Yu and Chairman Shigen. Discipline committee members are important jobs in the same system as security guards. The main body is a self-organized order maintenance organization formed by various schools, similar to auxiliary police. Among the composition of discipline committee members, ability users account for the vast majority, including a large number of level 3 or above ability users. Although there is no control of dangerous weapons, their combat power is not inferior to that of security guards. It is no exaggeration to say that they are an indispensable part of the system of the Academy City, and are one of the important military organizations that the Academy City uses to deter the outside world. And those who can command them are naturally not ordinary people. First of all, Shigen Kaguya, who was transferred from the chairman to the discipline committee a year ago, was later elected as the vice chairman for her ability. Among the discipline committee members, she is more widely known. The eldest daughter of the Shigen group, who has assets exceeding 200 trillion and involves various fields, has won various awards since childhood, and has many talents. She is also a level 4 ability user. There is no doubt that she is an extremely outstanding talent. As for the chairman, well, to be honest, the popularity is very low, and only the directors of each branch have some understanding of her. Level 5, that's enough. In this city full of people with special abilities, there are only 8 level 5s, and the first one is the chairman. Apart from that, let's not talk about being upright, resolute, caring for subordinates, and being shameless. Wow! What a perfect match. Can anyone ask if the two of them are dating? Even contact seems presumptuous. How can they do it? With such voices, the two walked into the meeting room. The heads of each branch have arrived and are sitting in an orderly manner on both sides. Xia Yu looked at the Gakuno Shad West branch, where Ino Maiko and Debatsukoba were sitting together. Fortunately, the chairs here are not small, otherwise they would be squeezed to death. Everyone. Now I want to discuss something with you. No, to inform you of something. As soon as Xia Yu sat down, firm words came out of his mouth. The disciplinary committee council, although it is called a council, when Xia Yu is serious, he is the one who has the final say. I want to pay more attention to and guarantee the personal safety of our students who serve as discipline committee members. The specific reason is, classmate Maiko, please explain what happened yesterday to everyone. Xia Yu has already communicated with Ino Maiko. Okay, but when Ino Maiko stood up, she couldn't speak. Xia Yu could see that her body was trembling and sweat was unconsciously flowing down her face. Nervous? Are you afraid of being watched by so many people? Xia Yu figured out the matter at once, but he did not comfort Ino Maiko, nor did he change people. He just said, classmate Maiko, think about yesterday's classmate Gufa, classmate Shirai and classmate Hatsuharu. If you retreat at this moment, then maybe someone else will get hurt. You don't want that, do you? The other discipline committee members didn't say anything, just smiled at Ino Maiko. Don't be nervous, please speak. Shinomiya Kaguya smiled gently and comforted Ino Maiko's emotions. Ino Maiko glanced around. Instead of the mocking and ridiculing looks she received before, there were encouragement and gentle waiting. She mustered up her courage and said, it's like this, please vote for recommendation. Please collect. Chapter 25 Erosion. We appreciate the actions of Gufa, Shirai, and Hatsuharu in facing danger, and we agree with the proposal of increasing personal safety guarantees mentioned by the chairman, but if we want to increase it, we need the chairman's plan. This is what many branch directors said. Very good. I think the current discipline committee members should make more use of the power of data. I will increase the authority of each branch and equip each discipline committee member with a highly intelligent mechanical device, so that they can check their information in the database at the moment of encountering the enemy, so as to better understand the enemy. Secondly, each device is equipped with a rescue function. When the discipline committee member determines that the target cannot be resisted or it is difficult to resist, he can use it to ask for help from the surrounding discipline committee members. If there is no unit within 1 kilometer that can resist the target, then the information will be transmitted to the headquarters, and I will send an intelligent robot to defeat the opponent. Temporarily, the person concerned can choose to retreat immediately to ensure his personal safety. Agreed, this is a good thing for the discipline committee members themselves, and these branch directors naturally chose to agree. Very good, let's discuss the second thing, about the welfare of the discipline committee members. My idea is, just like the guards, give the discipline committee members a monthly salary. Just like the guards, discipline committee members generally sign up on their own initiative, and the only benefit to them is to increase their credits and even apply for scholarships more smoothly. The rest is no benefit, and they have to bear a considerable degree of risk. Xia Yu's salary is actually work-oriented, turning the title of discipline committee member into a job, and through salary Xia Yu obtains real rights. After all, the college city does not have this budget, and the salary of the discipline committee members is naturally issued by Xia Yu, which will inevitably make the power of the discipline committee member have a favorable impact on things related to Xia Yu. It is better to say, criminals involved in Xia Yu will not be arrested. Of course, Xia Yu does not want that. The main purpose is to increase his capital. For example, if a big boss wants to kill Xia Yu, then he has to bear the salary of these discipline committee members, otherwise he will lose this corner of maintaining the balance of the college city. After all, people may never get it, but once they get it, they will not be so willing to lose it. When they are used to having a salary, they will not allow themselves to go without a salary. I agree. It is true that everyone is working hard, and this benefit is also natural. Shinomiya was the first to express her agreement. She knew very well what Xia Yu was going to do, so she supported it, because if Xia Yu's things were done, then she, as the vice chairman, would also be able to obtain capital to fight with the Shinomiya Foundation. There is no fool here, everyone can understand, but Xia Yu really gave a lot. They also want it, and the ordinary discipline committee members below will want it. Not everyone joins the discipline committee for ideals. After all, the organization established with ideals is loose and unstable. Although most of the discipline committee members are capable people and have living allowances in the academy city, for some with low ability levels, it is just enough to live. With this new salary, they don't have to work part-time and can have more time. I disagree. Iinomiko slammed the table and stood up, saying, disciplinary committee is a sacred profession. We are a member of the maintenance of the order of the academy city. Everyone joins voluntarily. If we pay salaries, it will become utilitarian, and it may attract all kinds of people like security guards, resulting in a mixed bag. The branch heads were hesitant, looking at each other, and then they were also confused by each other. Iino-san, how can you say that? The work of the discipline committee is very hard and life-threatening. It is only right that we provide some material help. Shinomiya stood up and refuted. Yes, the work of the discipline committee is very hard and dangerous, but now everyone is fighting with awareness, ideals and responsibilities. If it is utilitarian, it will surely attract people without ideals. When facing danger, will they have the courage and perseverance like Senior Gufa, Shirai and Hatsuharu? They will only tarnish the reputation of the discipline committee, and if it is not for salary, where does the money come from? Is it to invite others to invest? Then will the investors be arrested if they make mistakes? This will make the profession of the discipline committee complicated. Iinomiko was very excited, and her words showed her integrity, which awakened several branch directors who were originally in a dilemma and gradually slipped into the abyss of capital. However, a considerable number of branch directors looked unhappy with her surrender. Discipline committee members do not only have a heart with dreams, they also have material needs and spiritual needs. They can indeed protect others at all costs and danger, but they will also be unhappy when their quality of life is affected by others. Of course, none of them would seek revenge, they were just simply unhappy, just like being remembered by the class representative in school. Iino-san, Shinomiya words were interrupted by Xia Yu's hand raising. Xia Yu said with a thoughtful look on his face, Miko-san is right, I didn't think so much, Xia Yu first recognized Ino-san's point of view. And Ino-san also showed a smile of recognition on her face. However, what Shinomiya-san said also makes sense. Let's do this. Our discipline committee will add a scholarship content, and every discipline committee member who is conscientious and responsible can apply for it. For outstanding discipline committee members who have made contributions to maintaining public order and protecting the people, some material rewards will be given. The money will be paid by the board of directors. This, Ino-san wanted to refute again, but was pulled back by Debutsu Abo. She shook her head gently at Ino-san, signaling her not to speak first. Big Buddha, let's move on to the next one. Xia Yu's words were very firm, indicating that the matter was settled. Then his expression changed and he said in a less serious manner, regarding the uniform clothing of the discipline committee members, rejected. Shinomiya-kagu, I rejected Xia Yu instantly. Ho ha, everyone laughed, because this was a fixed program that would appear in every meeting. Because Xia Yu asked for the uniform clothing of women. Please recommend. Please collect. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.